Welcome to Awake and Aware. It is Sunday, January 3rd, and this is the first episode of Awake and Aware in the year 2021 in the new age of Aquarius. So thanks for joining us. Things are a little bit different today. I'm here by myself today, and I'm really excited about Season 2 and Episode 1 of Season 2, where I am going to lay out all the goods on how to build, grow, or manifest your spiritual business. And listen, when I say spiritual business, that doesn't mean that you're going to be selling beads in front of the airport. What it means is you're going to find what spiritually aligns with you, and you're going to get into business doing that, and you're going to make a living doing that, and you're never going to work another day in your life. And I've been doing this for the last 6 years. I've been in business for going on 25 years, and I have been in the marketing game now for about 6.5 years. And in that process, I've helped businesses make over $30 million in the last 6 years. So I'm going to share what I've learned, what my network has learned, what the process is, what some of the hurdles are, and what you need to know from before you quit your day job. And I'm just going to give you so many gems, hopefully that you find nothing but pure value from this episode. It's all going to be spiritual and how to align with your values so you don't have to sacrifice your beliefs and the way you live. And I'm going to show you how you can make some money doing that. And actually, it's not just about making money, but it's about gaining freedom so you can do what you want in life and spend some time doing spiritual stuff and sharing what you got and sharing what you've learned with your community. So I'm going to go ahead and roll the intro here, and we'll see you in just a second. I'm up. Gosh, I kind of love that. I enjoy listening to that. It's kind of hokey. I made it. And yeah, that's my voice. So anyhow, if you're just joining us, this is the Awake and Aware show. I'm going to lay this out a little bit differently tonight because we're now doing podcasting. And one of the things that happens on a podcast is people can't see what's going on. They can't see me talking to you. And they can't see any of the visuals. So I'm just going to lay out the show. Plus, we've got a bunch of new people joining us who've never seen the show before and also who don't know who Nick Angel is. So I'm just going to introduce myself briefly and talk about the show quickly. So and then kind of tell you what is coming up in this later in this show and what's coming up for the new year with Awake and Aware. So for those of you who've never met me before, I am Nick Angel. I am the president and CEO of the corporation Awake and Aware Incorporated. We're a lifestyle brand. We sell coffee, tea, clothing, and energy supplements. Nothing chemical, but all natural stuff to help your brain, help your sleep, help your rest, help your recovery, and help you find and maximize the amount of energy that you get throughout the day without any crashes. And also, along with that, because we believe in a holistic approach, what kind of exercises you can be doing, way you can be living your life, yoga, etc., breath work, meditation, the things that amplify and help you become the most effective person you are in your best life. And that's what we help do. So it's tools, fuel, and gear for conscious people. I just want to point out the definition of consciousness is to be awake and aware of one's surroundings. And that's where the name comes from. This is a conscious show. So a couple of the reasons that I'm here, and I look a little bit different today than I normally do is, first off, I'm wearing this hat. We all know what that means. But guess what? For me, this means get checks. That's what I sought for a very long time to find this hat. And that's what's on my mind is get checks. Get checks sent to me, open up the mailbox and find checks, write checks, get checks, have checks in the bank, have check marks, pay the checks at dinner. It's all about checks, right? So no checks mix. Well, that is my Chex Mix. And this is my own gear. This is Awake and Aware gear, right? And of course, I just put this on tonight because I'm talking about business. And I know a lot of times people like, spirituality and business just can't go hand in hand. Well, I'm here to debunk that. I'm here to, this community is proof of that spirituality and business can go hand in hand, and actually should, because I think the world is sick of the pure for-profit paradigm. And I think we're a little bit ready for something new. And I think a lot of people are out there and have been building their businesses, building their careers in alignment with that versus the old paradigm where it's purely for profit and you have to put your foot on the back of somebody's neck to get there. And I didn't want to be part of that. So just briefly about me, I'm mixed. So I do consider myself black and white. My father's white, my mother's black. But I do also consider my business to be a black-owned business. I do a lot of business with black people, and I try to help the black community. Also a veteran, so this is a veteran-owned business. And this is a community. This is not just a business, but my company. I'm talking specifically about my company, Awake and Aware. And my partner is also a veteran, and puts us in a small minority of business owners, and he's also a spiritual person as well. He's out there making big moves right now. That's why he's not on the show with me. So I got into business in 2014 for myself. I started a marketing agency in South Florida. And at the same time, I was in college, and everybody knows I didn't go to an Ivy League school. I didn't go back to school I didn't go to school until I was 30. I barely, I didn't graduate high school. I do have a high school diploma, but I did drop out of school and then go back and get my high school diploma. Then I went to college, and I was in school for electronics engineering. After the military, I learned some electronic stuff and worked for Motorola, building radios and two-way radios and doing some electronic stuff. And I thought, man, engineering's just the thing for you. But while I was in school, I was hit by a car in an accident where I was on a bicycle. And in those 6 months where I could barely move, couldn't turn my head, didn't have any strength in my hand, I couldn't grip anything, I couldn't lift weights. My doctor wouldn't clear me to go to the gym. But he did clear me to do yoga, which I thought was pretty interesting. So I went to a yoga class in a place in Fort Lauderdale called Secret Woods. And you guys down in Fort Lauderdale or down in South Florida might know where this place is. If not, I'm telling you because it's a secret. But you can find it. It's on the map. Might be a treasure map though. But anyway, it was definitely a jewel for me when it was my first yoga class. It was a lady named Lynette. I wish I remember her last name, but I don't. But Lynette had been teaching yoga for over 40 years. And after the class, she came up to me and she said, Nick, I think you're ready for your big picture. And I said, yeah, absolutely I am. I wish I knew what it was. And she said, well, join me this weekend at Your Big Picture, and we'll talk about it. I had no clue what she was talking about. And so somebody later that week turned me on to it. It was a cafe down there called Your Big Picture Cafe. It's no longer there, so don't go looking for it. But I will tell you about this place. It's amazing, and I'll even tell you the story of its demise. So I went to Your Big Picture Cafe. I found it, went there that weekend, and the best cafe I've ever been to in my life. The best, the food, they didn't make food, but they did serve some food, but it was all organic. They sold teas, lattes, coffee that like you'd expect, but they also had a spiritual library. They had a spiritual bookstore. They sold herbs. They sold loose teas. They had live music. They had studios for yoga and other things for other spiritual people. This is exactly what I've patterned my business after, actually. And so it was a beautiful thing. It was owned by two women, two very beautiful women, two radiant women who, I mean, literally when you were in their presence, you would just think that like the sun was bouncing off of them, even though we were indoors. They were that radiant because they were super conscious. And one of the things that really, really stood out to me when I walked into this place, because you walked up to the counter, there was a very long letter written in the floor in wood, and it was a wooden floor. And I mean, like, this was like fine lettering. And I mean, it must have cost a fortune to put this there. And I'm going to read you what it said in the floor. And this thing really, 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 really had an impact on me. And let me just find this here. I have already pulled it up. So it was this poem by a guy named Max Ehrman that was written back in 1927, and it's called Desiderata. So I'm just going to read it for you because I think this has, it speaks perfectly to what our topic is about tonight, and specifically how it influenced me to shift from a purely for profit paradigm to wanting to run a spiritual business, and even totally shifted my life path. So the poem is called Desiderata, and it goes like this. Go placidly amid the noise and the haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible, without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others, even to the dull and the ignorant. They too have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are vexatious to the spirit. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain or bitter, for always there will be greater and lesser persons than yourself. Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Keep interested in your own career. However humble, it is a real possession in these changings of time. Exercise caution in your business affairs, for the world is full of trickery. But let this not blind you to the virtue there is. Many persons strive for high ideals, and everywhere life is full of heroism. Be yourself, especially do not feign affection. Neither be cynical about love, for in the face of all aridity and disenchantment, it is perennial as the grass. Take kindly the counsel of years, gracefully surrendering the things of youth. Nurture strength of spirit to shield you in sudden misfortune, but do not distress yourself with dark imaginings. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness. Beyond a wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. And whether or not is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. Therefore, be at peace with God, whatever you conceive him to be. And whatever your labors and aspirations, in the noisy confusion of life, keep peace in your soul, with all its sham, drudgery, and broken dreams. It is still a beautiful world. Be cheerful. Strive to be happy. So again, that is the poem called Desiderata. It's kind of it's not super lengthy, but it's a pretty good length of poem. But to see that written into a floor that you could read in wood took a master craftsman. And I was dumbfounded to see it. And it wasn't the first time I'd read it, but to see it in a cafe like that, it used to hang on the wall of my grandmother's door as you walked out of the house. I mean, you couldn't read it in time, but it was always there to remind you to be on good terms with people, and that your business and your career is important, and all these other things were and just to strive to be happy. And so my first time there, I noticed there was a book next to the counter, and I don't remember the name of the book. It's been many years, but the title was something like How to Build a Spiritual Business. And I thought that was wonderful. I didn't buy it. I did want it. But at the time I was worried about cash. So I didn't buy the book, but luckily my birthday was shortly after that. And a friend of mine and his girlfriend had invited me over to dinner. And just, we just kind of caught up and got to know each other on a Friday night, and they found it was my birthday. And that Sunday they had delivered a gift to my house. It was wrapped, and it was that book. And I don't even think they knew anything. It's just the weirdest thing. I have no clue where they got it or found it, or if they even knew about it. They weren't at the cafe with me. But they had recognized that I was about to start a business. They were spiritual people, and they really thought that we all believed in building spiritual businesses versus just the purely for profit. So they bought me this book, and I read it. And in that reading of book, it changed my life. I'd been in school for engineering, and I decided that, that wasn't the path for me. I wanted to help people. I wanted to help people grow their own spiritual businesses. I was tired of watching people, like yoga teachers. Like, I'd gone to a yoga teacher. There was probably 25 people in her class, and it was donation only. Meant that you had to I think she charged $5, but the first class was always free. It was $5. So, if she did one class that day, what did she make? $60? It's not a living. Not for a whole day's worth of work and not for what she gave to me. I mean, because yoga saved my life. Strengthened my back so I could turn my back, gave me the strength back in my hand. So I'm a big fan of yoga, just because of what it did for me. So in that process, I went back to school. In going back to school, I changed my major. And for those, I studied business, economy, as an economist, and studied digital marketing. And while I was doing that, I started a marketing agency while I was in school. I hadn't even graduated yet. And I couldn't wait. So I was studying entrepreneurship. And I'm kind of a little hack that I did, even though I was going to a community college. One of the reasons I went to the college is because I found a professor who graduated from that college and then went on to go to the University of Florida and then go on to the business school of Harvard. He graduated from Harvard and he taught business at Harvard, but he would moonlight and teach entrepreneurship at Broward College in Fort Lauderdale. So I studied business and entrepreneurship under a Harvard professor. So no, I didn't get the network. I didn't get to go eat at the Harvard. I didn't go to, Massachusetts, but I did study business under a Harvard professor, a multimillionaire Harvard professor himself, and learned what his take on business and on how to build business. And to this day, he runs nursing homes, and he runs ethical nursing homes. I got some people who weren't able to get into the show. Facebook created the link and put the wrong date in there. So let me just drop the link for anybody who was unable to get into the show. And I'll keep talking in the meantime. Let me see who's joined us right now. So if anybody's got any comments or conversations already, that'd be great. Oh, wait, look. Okay, so cool. A bunch of people have already joined us. So Kara said she'd love one of these T-shirts. Awesome. So did Jessica. So I'll drop the link where you can get these. So I have men, women shirts, sweatshirts, yoga pants, all kinds of different things. Let me just put this in here so other people can join us, because this is my buddy Ben, and he is he's like super, super spiritual, and he also runs a spiritual-based business. So I think he could get some value out of this and also add value. I hope I'm sending the right link. It is what it is. It's the best I can do at the moment with the bandwidth that I have. William said Semper Fi. So I was Army, but guess what? I have mad love for the Marines, brother. Mad love for the Marines. My grandfather's Marine in Iwo Jima. He was in the same unit where they raised that flag. And then Lauren said great poetry, and Kara said that was awesome. Thanks, guys. Yeah, Desiderata is bonkers good. You can look it up and get a download of it. It used to be that I had to pay for it. There was a big licensing issue. It's a poem. The guy's not even alive anymore. But anyhow, so backing up. So I was in college and I switched my major and I went to school for marketing, and I decided to start a business specifically to help spiritual businesses. And so I started a marketing company called Serious Digital Marketing. Like I'm serious, but it was actually the Sirius star. And, it's the guiding star. And I did pretty good with it. Made decent money. I think my biggest contract that I ever had was like I wrote a $25,000 contract. Here's a guy who was once a homeless veteran. I've slept on a park bench in 3 feet of snow. Not proud of that, but that's part of my story. But I have no problem charging people $125 an hour now. So, and I had that's value. Like I give value at $125 an hour. But guess what? This show right now, and what I'm going to share with you guys here shortly, this is not a funnel. This is not a sales pitch. This is not give me your email address. Like I don't want anything from you guys except for you guys to go out, take everything that I've shared with you, and spark your passion, grow your passion, and build your businesses. And it can start very small, right? This doesn't have to be huge, doesn't have to be big. I'm going to give you exactly what you need to do, whether you have a product, a service or have no idea what to do and how to get in business. And again, like I said earlier in the show, spiritual-based business does not mean that you're going to be selling beads or malas or selling yoga or anything. I mean, if that's what you do, absolutely wonderful, bless you. But it means what's spiritually aligned for you and also what gives as much as it takes. So, and of course you can make profit. Making profit's not a bad thing. And also the more value that you give, I find the easier it is to get more profit. So, somewhere in the bio I put this, but I'm just going to drop this little nugget before I go any further. If you want to be successful in business, all you have to do is answer this question. If you want to be a millionaire, all you have to do is answer this question. If you want to be a billionaire, you absolutely have to answer this question. Okay. So this question can help you be successful at every stage of business. But if you want to make it to the upper echelons, you will have absolutely answered this question. And the question is, how can I provide the most value to the most amount of people in the shortest amount of time for the least amount of money? If you can answer that question, you can be a billionaire. It's that simple. Every billionaire will tell you they answered that question. And every millionaire, most millionaires have answered that question. Some are just born millionaires, but any self-made millionaires have answered that question. And if you want to find the fastest way to be successful in life, answer that question. And guess what? The answers can be different for everybody. It doesn't matter if you don't have a product. It doesn't matter if you don't have a service. You can find a way to answer that question. How can I give the most amount of value to the most amount of people in the shortest amount of time for the least amount of money? I'll tell you who was amazing at that. Apple was amazing at that. Microsoft was amazing at that. These aren't spiritual-based businesses. No, I understand. But they are big businesses, and they do provide a lot of people with a lot of jobs across the globe. So how can we, in the spiritual community, learn from the big businesses without falling into the same traps that they run? Because a lot of them are just using capital from banks and doing series funding and, Series A, Series B funding, and they get shareholders, and that's the big problem is they're running off of their shareholders, and they're having to do unscrupulous things and step on people's necks and not care about being ethical or caring about the environment in their process. And in that process, they're hurting tons of people. I just recently this year there was a bunch of companies that were just putting people to work, didn't lay anybody off, wasn't providing any benefits, and they were just breeding COVID grounds, So that I would say is absolutely not spiritual. So how do we, what is a spiritual business? I would say definitely it's an ethical business. It's an honest business, and it's what aligns with you. All right. So all that being said, I'm going to take a second here and I'm going to define we got some more questions here. So Jessica said, my good friend Charlene owned your big product. We used to daydream about it while we were working. Oh, wonderful, Jessica. I love Jessica Laurie. She's an amazing person. She owned your big picture while together at Whole Foods. She would open it and would teach yoga there. It was a beautiful place. Absolutely. And it was an amazing place. And I know they sold it. I know that Charlene and her other business partner sold it, and it was open for a few more years. But the person who bought it didn't have the same spiritual vibration that they did, and tried to run it like a corporation and turn it into an internet cafe, try to automate stuff. And it just was not what was attracting, it wasn't the bright light that it was, and it very quickly closed up. So I'm sorry to see it go. And then it says, so Kara says, send you the link. Oh yeah. Well, I'll put the link in the show. I'll tell you where to get it before the show's over. And Jessica says, I've always recognized your authenticity, and I appreciate you. Thank you. I appreciate that. So it's mad love. Like, I have love for what's been given to me, because I don't want to say I started out with nothing, but I felt like so many people gave to me, and it was able, what wisdom and gems that people gave me and love people gave me became steps to get me where I'm at today, and allow me to have the freedom that I have today. And I recognize that we are all interdependent, and that interdependency means that we're all dependent on each other, and the success of everybody around me equals the success of me. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So if take a look around you, see who you're spending your time with. Like if you got people who are just ain't doing nothing, they're no good, constantly in trouble with the law, all they do is do drugs, whatever it is, or better yet, maybe, the 5 people around you got yachts and millions of dollars, but they ain't really helping nobody. They're just spending their money. I know some very wealthy people that I don't spend any time with because they're not giving any love to people. I got a family member who makes a lot of money, and I can't sit down at dinner with him because I don't like the way he treats waitresses and wait staff, or not just waitresses, but waiters and waitresses. He's just not kind to him. So I don't go out to eat with him anymore, and we've had many butt heads about it. He's not a good tipper, for all the money that he's got, he doesn't pay it forward. But that's neither here nor there. But my point is the people I surround myself with believe in community. They believe in spreading love, and they believe in helping the next person up. And everybody that I've found that's successful in life, nothing more in life do they love than to just turn around and help the next person up with them. And I just like to do the same. So that being said, I'm going to define what the most important things that I would expect any of you to do, whether in business or not. And I'm sharing the same knowledge from other people that are successful. When I say successful, they've built multi-million-dollar businesses. They have owned multiple businesses. And the very first thing that I can recommend to you to do is be in business. If you are not already in business, get in business. And what does that mean? Go and incorporate yourself as a business in this country, or in whatever country you're in. And there's a reason for that. I don't care if you have a business, if you have a business plan, if you have something to sell, doesn't matter. Just get in business, because once you're in business, now you have the ability to take advantage of opportunities. If you're not in business and an opportunity comes along, you've now got to wait the time to go create a business. So the first thing I'm going to task you to do is come over to the business name. Doesn't matter what it is. It does matter what it is, but come up with a business name. And, for me, it was Awake and Aware. That came through meditation and prayer for a very long time, like multiple times, looking, God, what aligns with me, what aligns with my personality, what will allow me to give the most value to the most amount of people in the shortest amount of time for the least amount of money. And that's what we came up with. So come up with a business name, and then go and incorporate it. Before you even incorporate it, go get an EIN. It's an employee identification number that you get from the IRS. So this is what allows you to operate a business in the United States. Listen, I can only speak for the United States. I hate that you have to get involved with the government, but to run a business and collect money and use a bank, you've got to have one of these. So if you want to be clandestine and under the table, unfortunately, I don't have any skill in operating that. I know that people do that, but you're always at risk of having your property seized or tax evasion or those things. So I understand there's a drawback to taking an EIN, as you're now agreeing to abide by the law and pay taxes. So if you have a disagreement with that, then I don't have any tools for you at this moment. But if you're okay with that, so I believe to spiritually also means to live within the guidelines of the law. And get your EIN. You can go to IRS.gov and apply for an EIN. Again, it's your employee identification number. That's where you start. This is where you start. And listen, this is still for the people who have no idea I don't care if you're working a 9 to 5. I don't care if you work at a gas station. I don't care if you don't have a job. An EIN is free. Get one. Doesn't matter what you do. You can get one, and you don't have to, even before you formulate your corporation, you can get an EIN. So once you have that, you can go then formulate your corporation in your state. Now, listen, you can actually do it in multiple different states. And it's going to cost different for each state. So listen, what I recommend doing is coming up with $500 as quick as you can. Save it, do whatever you got to do to come up with $500. And here's what you don't need $500, but I recommend that you have $500. And here's what I'm going to tell you how to spend that $500 too. And listen, I know I'm jumping. Some of you already have businesses, so bear with me. I'm going to get to the point where you're at to get you to that $1 million point. I'm going to tell you in this episode, like there's no segue to this. There's all you got to do is just stay with me and hang out or watch this in a podcast. Maybe you don't have time tonight. It's all right. Come back, check me out in the podcast. I promise you, I'm going to tell you how to take your processes to making $1 million. So back to where we're at, people are just starting out. If you don't have a business, get in business. This is not just my words. These are Warren Buffett, one of the richest men in the country, the most shrewd investor in the world. He says the best business advice I can give you is to just get in business. The guy from Shark Tank, who owns, Mark Cuban, excuse me. I have his email address. Like I don't even know his name. But yeah, I can reach out to Mark Cuban anytime I want. And he's a billionaire. Same thing. His best advice I can give you is just get in business. And I'm going to explain to you why in just a minute, but write this down. Get out of listen, I'll tell you again, I've helped businesses make over $30 million. I've seen companies make $27 million in a year. So I have tools that will take any process, multiply it, and allow you to make money. And you can do it on your own. You can do it in your spare time. This is not a gimmick. This is replicatable. I know just about all my friends are in business. They all run spiritual based businesses. I got friends that are jet set, flying all over the world. I have friends that own yachts. I know a few billionaires. I know people who have started large corporations. I know tech entrepreneurs. I know people that work for Fortune 5. I've also worked for Fortune 500 companies. I'm telling you the truth here. I'm giving you the most simplest things. Tools that can get you financial freedom. And this doesn't take a lot of work. This is just what you're passionate about. Find your passion. But these are the tools that will ignite your passion to become your reality, to become your dream job, to become your career, and allow you to get paid and have freedom doing exactly what it is you do. I know Jessica's doing exactly that. Like I've watched her business grow recently over the last couple of years. And, I'm hoping she didn't take a big, huge hit because of COVID. But any other guys out there, I know a lot of you personally, and, I'm praying for you. I'm going to give you the blessings. I'm going to give you the gems right here. So here we are. Get you an EIN. Now go to your state. You can go to the SBA.gov, SBA, that's Sierra Bravo Alpha.gov, and you can find where to incorporate in your state. But you can go to your state. The easiest way to do is go find the Secretary of State for your state. Great. I'm glad to hear that, Jessica. Go to the Secretary of State of your state or the Treasury of your state, and you can file corporations there. The price is different. I know Hawaii is one of the most expensive states. I think it's almost $500 to incorporate a business there. But find out what it is for your state. Some states are $50. Delaware's is also an expensive state. But here's what it is if you don't live in that state, you can still incorporate there, but you have to go find a broker. And what they will do is they will incorporate for you. And basically they will give you an address, and they will charge you a fee every month for using their address for the incorporation of your state. So factor that in if you want to, incorporate in Delaware, but I just recommend, unless you're starting an agriculture company or a chemical company or an oil company, really doesn't matter what state that you, or if it's a multi-billion-dollar media company. These things aren't really, or if you're looking into water rights or mineral rights, that kind of thing, that really does make a difference where you incorporate. But if you're creating a business that's service-based or product-based, don't worry about where you incorporate. Just incorporate in your state. Make it easy. Now, what that requires is having your EIN, the name of your business. And when you incorporate a business, of course, so they will have a little thing where you search and see if there's any other businesses with your name. So unfortunately, if you choose a name that somebody else already has, then you've got to come up with a new name, et cetera, et cetera. But if nobody has that name in your state, then you can go ahead and incorporate that business. Now it's going to come down to how do you incorporate? There's 4 different ways to incorporate. There's a LLC, which means Limited Liability Corporation. I'll explain what these all mean in just a second. There's a self-proprietor. There's a C Corp, and there's an S Corp. So those are the 4 ways in the United States to incorporate a business. So let's start with the LLC. The LLC is actually, let's start with the sole proprietor. So why would you incorporate a business if you're a sole proprietor? Let's say you do hair or do nails and you're the only person that does it, and you do mobile hair care or mobile nail care, and you are the whole business. Then it would make sense to incorporate as a sole proprietor, because you are the business. It's however much you can do. So when you're not there, the business isn't there. If you run Body by Jake and you're Jake, you could do a sole proprietorship. I've never recommended anybody do a sole proprietorship, and let me explain to you why. Is if something goes wrong and you hurt somebody, you are liable. That person can sue you directly. So there's not a lot of buffer room running a sole proprietorship. That's why they came up with the thing called the LLC, which is you can still just be you, but with an LLC, that means the corporation is on hook and the person would sue the corporation, and there's a buffer between you and it. It's not all about being sued. But there are reasons in business that you'll find that requires, for you to have a buffer, for the liability. And of course, if you have partners, that means they would have assumed some of the liability with you. Say you made a bum product. Well, and then there's liability of that corporation to fix that. So that's what LLC means. It's limited liability, and it means that the people aren't being sued directly. It's the doings of the corporation. So if you're acting within the corporation, it's the corporation itself that's liable for anything, and not the owners of the corporation. So that's the same to be said for the C Corp and the S Corp. Now, the difference between those and the LLC. So C is a corporation. It's the old school corporations that were built. And what that had to do is the classification of a business as a corporation that had a board of directors, meaning that there are multiple people and there are shareholders. When you create a C Corp or an S Corp, you have to designate an X amount of shares. These are what stocks are. So it's usually somewhere in the realm between 1,000 or 10,000, all the way up to 1 million or 1 million plus shares. And you would assign those to a corporation, and then you would assign a board of directors. And then you would also assign your executives, like I am the president and the CEO of my corporation. Why would you? It's like, well, Nick, why would you be the president and the CEO? Well, I'm explain that in a minute too. There's a reason that I'm the president and the CEO, and not just the marketing director or the grand alchemist, which I'd much rather have the title alchemist over CEO. Trust me. But there's a reason that I'm the president and CEO. So when you're creating a corporation and you're either choosing a corporation, a C Corp or an S Corp, when you have to set up the business practice, you have to write out a statement. These are your bylaws, and these are saying we have a president, we have a CEO, we have a chief financial officer. It doesn't matter how many people. Listen, you can actually have one person, but you would still have to designate yourself the president or the CEO. And I'd highly recommend that you're at a minimum the president of your own company. Don't start. I see a mistake that people make. They start a corporation. Everybody wants to be a CEO. So let me also point something else out. If you create a self-proprietor, don't name yourself CEO, because you're not a CEO. That's not what a CEO. To be a CEO, it has to be of a corporation. It's either a C Corp or an S Corp, and it can also be an LLC in some small occasions. And you have to be appointed by a board of directors to be a CEO. So if you're the only person in your corporation, you can't really appoint yourself CEO. It has to be through election process. So I see a lot of people do that and call themselves CEO, and it's just a name only. But that's what a true CEO is. It's appointed by a board. But here's the difference between the president and the CEO, because most people don't know, and this is relevant in starting a corporation. And I made the mistake. When I first started my first business, I was the CEO. I wanted to have those 3 letters by my name. And I went to the bank to open a bank account, and they said, no, sir, you're going to have to either send down your president or your chief financial officer to open the bank account. I was like, what do you mean? I'm the only person. And well, they said, well, you're going to have to go back and get the title of president or chief financial officer, because those are the only 2 people in the state. And that was the state of Florida at the time, who can open a bank account. I was dumbfounded. Like, I was like, how did I not even know that? Like, so I was embarrassed at the bank. And so what I'm recommending to you is, if you do decide to create a corporation, make sure you appoint a president and or a chief financial officer. And the reason being is because those are the ones that handle financials. The chief executive officer has nothing to do with financials. They're the ones that like an operating officer can handle the day-to-day flow of business and the structuring of the business and steering the business, and that it goes. So everybody wants to be the CEO, but they don't even realize that's not the person who runs the day-to-day business. So if you're creating a business, if you're the founder, or anything more than the sole proprietor in a corporation, you want to make yourself the president of the company, just FYI. So that'll save you some embarrassment at the bank when you go to open a bank. So look, so just to back it up, we got an EIN, and we're now incorporating a business for as low as $50 in whatever state it is. And you're saying, but how am I going to recoup this money? I don't have a product. I don't have a service. Or maybe you do. Maybe you know exactly what you're wanting to get in a business to, or maybe you're already in business, or you're making money and you actually haven't incorporated your business. And there's going down the road. This is your foundation. You have to do this. If you have not done this, do this. If you're my friends out there working and struggling, listen, you don't need a PlayStation 5. You don't need a pair of Fendi shoes. You don't need that new Louis Vuitton bag. You don't need that new Coach bag. You don't need that new radio in your car. Like, you don't need the new iPhone. You don't need those new $500 headphones. I'm telling you what you need. You need to get in business for yourself. You need to take some ownership in your life. Listen, when I tell you need to, of course, you don't have to. You can go on for the next 20 years working for somebody and building your 401k and retiring, certainly acceptable, and it's admirable. And, I have no problem with that. But if you'd like to get up when I do, whenever I feel like it, if you'd like to be able to travel whenever you feel like it, take a phone call whenever you feel like it, take a smoke break whenever you feel like it, take a nap whenever you feel like it, listen to what I'm saying. Like, become your own, become the master of your own destiny. Listen, it's not an easy road, but it's very doable. And I highly recommend it. You've heard this about entrepreneurs. We'll work 100 hours a week so we don't have to work 40 hours a week later. It's very true. But the difference is that 100 hours, I am passionate about it. I love it. And I will continue to do it because I love what I do. And I think people say, when you love what you do, or you have passion for what you do, you'll never work another day in your life. And that's absolutely true. I haven't worked since 2014, except I still earn a living. I still help people. I still help people grow their businesses. And I very much enjoy what I do. And it's continuing to grow, and it's helping other people. So in that word alone, I'm a success. I built my first business was worth $1 million worth in 6 months. So if you listen to what I'm telling you, listen, I'm no genius. A lot of people think I'm really, really smart. It's because I get out of my own way and I listen to the universe, and that's how I make moves, is get out of my own way. And I listen to people who are a lot smarter than me, and I listen to people who have experience. And here's a guy who's been in this business for, since 2014 and helped other people make millions and millions of dollars. And I'm going to tell you how you can do that for yourself. So right now we're at the point of incorporating a business. And so what do you have to do after that? Almost nothing, but it depends on the state that you live in. And it depends on what your business is. So here's where a little bit of research comes in, is whether or not you need to collect tax for the type of business that you do. So if you have to do resale for tax, if you're buying stuff and reselling stuff, then yes, you need a tax reseller license. Very simple to get, but you get that from your state IRS, not the IRS.gov. You actually have to go to your state, and I don't know what it is for each state, but for me, it's just NewJersey.gov, and then they have a little tax collector thing from the solicitor that you just click on, and you file for it, and you put your information in, your state incorporation, and your EIN, and then you get a tax certificate, and it's a pretty cool certificate, and it says that you're capable of collecting tax. If you have those three things, you are now an official business in every state in the United States, and you are free to do business. So now you don't sell anything, you don't do anything. Here's the thing. For the next, depending on how you filed, but I never finished what an S Corp was. Let me explain that real quickly. So the difference between a C Corp and an S Corp is how you file taxes. The C Corp whenever the company makes money, the company pays taxes. So when you make a profit at the end of the year, they take a percentage. And an S corp, the owners of the company pay taxes only when they draw money out of the corporation. So let's say I make $1 million this year, and all I do is get my little salary, and that's it. I don't pay taxes for the company. The corporation doesn't pay. This is how large corporations don't pay taxes. So a lot of people are like, oh, I can't afford paying the taxes on a business. What do you mean? I don't pay any taxes for my business because I haven't drawn any. That means I'm keeping the money in my business to grow. It's incentive to grow your business is what it is. Eventually, you're going to have to pay taxes because you're eventually going to draw money out of it. But that's when you pay. So if I take $100,000 out of my business, then let's just say it's going to get cut down to $70,000. Only when I draw it out and put it in my pocket. If I can keep it in the business, so make all your big purchases through your business. Again, I'm not trying to teach anybody how to evade tax. These are the way the corporations are available to people. And, eventually you're expected in an S corp to draw a salary. So, if you work in the company, you're eventually expected to draw a salary. So you can't just keep it at zero. That's called a tax shelter. And eventually IRS will wondering why you're not making any money, even though they see you making millions of dollars. So you eventually have to pay yourself something. That's the plan. That's eventually what you want. So don't be discouraged by paying yourself. But that's the difference between an S corp and a C corp, an LLC, and a sole proprietorship. Figure out which one's right for you. But in most cases, I'm going to recommend that you file as an S corp. Now here's the work that's involved with filing as an S corp. If you, like for me in the state of New Jersey, I have to pay taxes each month or every quarter. Every quarter I have to pay taxes. So I have to file taxes 4 times a year versus the average person only has to file taxes once a year. So, there's that, but it's really simple. It's just going to a page, punching in the numbers from my books, press and send, and that's it. And it's done quarterly, right? And then the other thing beyond that is every year I have to send in the minutes from my board meetings to the corporation. That sounds like, actually it's kind of fun. We get together, have lunch, have a meeting. It's usually like 30 minutes to an hour, and it's not every month. We do ours quarterly as well. Actually, no, I do a board meeting every month, but we report it once a year, but it's our quarterly meetings. And it's just basically what our corporation's about, what our business model is, like what our motto is, and what we intend to do. That's the downside to having an S corp, is there's some work involved in doing that. But so you can also just do an LLC. You ain't got to do nothing. But if you choose to do an S corp, then you have stocks. Like I have shares. People can buy shares in Awake and Aware, and that's what owning an S corp is. So now let's just move ahead and say that you have one of these and that you are now in business and now are catching up with anybody who's already in business. That was for my friends friends and community members of people who are wanting to get into business. And listen, maybe you don't even know that you need to be in business. I don't care. Get in business. There's reasons for it. Listen, you can buy a piece of real estate with your business and have all the safety of being in business to buy a piece of real estate. So it's like if you owned your house, if you wanted to own your house, you could literally buy your house and lease it to yourself and run that as a business. And people like you, most people don't even realize there's value in having the indemnification of owning a business. Also, you got to remember, you don't have to pay taxes if it's a business. So I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of things you can do. Like, that's one thing. You can buy property and put it in a blind trust. There's so many different things you can do once you're in business. I won't even get into them. I'll let you find all the cool little gems that will open up for you. But here's the main reason that you want to get in business, even before. Listen, I don't care if you don't have a business plan. I don't care if you don't have a product. I don't care if you don't have a service and know what you're going to do. Your next move from where you're at is to start a business. That's not going to be your benefit. Guess what? Because you're not making any money. You're not declaring anything from the tax. You just have to start a business. It doesn't hurt anybody to own a business. If you got $500, go start a business. Unless you live in Hawaii, it's going to cost you less than $250 to start a business. I'm in the state of New Jersey. It cost me $250 to incorporate Awake and Aware. Just so you know, it's not expensive. And in my state, to get the trademark, it's $250. And then, I'm not going to get into trademarks and patents in this thing, but if you wanted a trademark or something, so Brian Williams said, I would hire a business manager. Listen, I'm a business manager. What's a business manager? Somebody that you would hire to work in your company? I think you're wanting, like somebody, a business consultant, I think you mean, Brian, somebody who would come in and show you how. But here's the thing is, when you go out and you hire somebody to do that, can you trust that person? Do you know that they're doing what's right for you? So, you got to be careful who you listen to. So it's not feasible when you're starting out. Exactly. Like, business consultants can be very expensive. They can cost you thousands and thousands of dollars. Some of them charge you $250 for the first 30 minutes. It's just depending on who you're, but to start out, listen, if you just Google what I'm telling you, you'll find oh man, this is the process for everybody. And it's very simple. I'm just demystifying it for people who feel like this is the scariest thing. Like, how do I make the step from, I was working 3 jobs when I started my agency in South Florida. I didn't have an office yet, but everything kind of picked up, second I incorporated. So you said I had a business and I did not like the paperwork. So I think you're talking about getting into the accounting stage, because incorporating a business is, listen, I could incorporate your business in 30 minutes with an EIN and tax number, everything. I could build a business for you in 30 minutes. And listen, it's not how slow I am. That's just how slow the websites are. Because if the websites weren't slow and I didn't have to gather your information, I could probably do it in 5 minutes. That's how long it takes to create a business. And like I said, it's $250. The $250 is not paying me or anybody else. That's how much my state charged. Some states cost as minimum of $50. Look around, check your state, see what it is, how much it is to incorporate in your state. It could be as low as $50. You could be on to making your $1 million for as low as $50. And the reason I said have $500 is because I want you to take that $250, incorporate your business. And then from there, I want you to do something else with the $250. I want you to get a website. And I don't want you to go get a P.O. box. I don't want you to go get a letterhead. I don't want you to go pay a graphic designer. I just want you to get a website. And that means go to, now I incorporated, Brian, I incorporated many businesses in Florida. I worked in a patent attorney office for 6 years. It's not as difficult as you think. You gotta sit down for it just a minute. It's the same process that I outlined here. Except I think it's actually less money. I think it's $75 to incorporate in Florida, if I remember correctly. So Jessica says Wix.com. I'm going to take a step away from it, and I'm going to veer away from Wix, and I'm going to tell you why. Wix is like I'm German. Wix is this website that allows you to build a website for free, but in the process of it being free, they brand themselves. They put Wix.com at the bottom of it and they brand stuff on it. And it's probably the easiest way to make a website that I've ever seen, but there's a big problem with it. And it comes in the back end and it comes later. And what it is you don't get to own what it is that you're using, as well as they don't allow you to put tools in there that allow you to own the traffic and own the where your content, or excuse me, not the traffic, but optimize your traffic and see where it's coming from. And then also put tools that allow for membership without having to pay them a bunch of money. And you don't want to do that. So you don't eventually own your customer base. And that is a big no-no when it comes to operating your business in the long run. So I don't recommend starting out on Wix. I highly recommend, listen, don't listen to me. It doesn't have to be WordPress, but I 100% recommend using WordPress because you don't have to pay anybody to use WordPress. And you own every aspect of it. And then also when you get into recognizing that you have ownership of all of that, you're going to find that there's a bunch of people in the industry that will give you tools like myself. I got tons of business tools that I could give a person that are worth tens of thousands of dollars that can be plugged into WordPress. But if you're on Wix, I can't give you those tools. And these tools, I'm telling you, I have some serious tools for operating in WordPress. Yes, WordPress has a little bit of a learning curve. But let me just step back for just a second, because I'm going to take a quick second here to segue for just a second and mention something that's going on, because I'm going to take a caller in a little while. And in that process, the very first caller that calls in, I'm going to give an invite to this highly coveted invite to the Clubhouse app. If you guys don't know what Clubhouse is another app. It's not Facebook, but it's a social media app that people are just flying to talk. These talk rooms where people come in and they just talk on stage, and so much value. It's just amazing people. Like I've been in rooms, I've been in on it all week, and I've been in Clubhouse where I've been talking with people. One of the people that I talked with in a room the other day is a guy named Pete Cashmore. Pete Cashmore built a business on WordPress and sold it for $50 million. You might have heard of it. It's called Mashable. I was just in a room with him the other day. So that's value. Like I was talking to a guy and he's one of my heroes. Like I was just looking around in the room, and the next thing I know, the guy sitting next to me was Pete Cashmore. I was like, yes, like I'm fulfilled. Like that's one of the people who I've watched do exactly what I'm telling you how to do. And he created a business, incorporated. He was just a blogger in his basement in his mother's house. And the next thing you know, he sold his business for $50 million. Listen, that's not going to be everybody's experience, but it's doable. It's absolutely doable. That guy I told you about, Mark Cuban, he sold a WordPress. Well, it started out as a WordPress website, but it was broadcast.net. He sold it to Yahoo for $5.5 billion, and he kept 75% of that. So I'm not blowing smoke, man. And listen, that's considered the best and the worst deal ever made. People have heard me tell that story many, many, many times. Like I said, I have Mark Cuban's email. I've attended one of his seminars. It's not a seminar, actually. It's just part of a book that he wrote. Let me keep that clear. He wasn't trying to promote anybody or sell anybody. He was just giving information from a book that he wrote one time. But amazing guy. Worst deal for Yahoo because it was just a website that he sold him. But if you can imagine, he just sold a website for $5.5 billion. That's a true story. You can look that up. So worst deal for Yahoo, best deal for him because he kept four and change in the billions. He's the owner of the Dallas Mavs. Pee Wee Fox says everything that you're talking about is really interesting to me. I'm glad you're finding value on this. So I hope that maybe even the one that calls in, again, I'm giving out an invite. So Clubhouse is invite only, currently, and you do have to have an iPhone. So if you don't have an iPhone, I'm sorry, I can't help you. That's just the way their platform works right now. I even got friends going out and changing right now to get iPhones to get one of these. There's people selling these invites for like $1,000. I wouldn't suggest you do that. You can get on the app. The app will go, it's in its beta testing. It will go public, I think in 3 months from now. But currently, listen, I've been in rooms with just so many stars, business. I mean, listen, I was in a room the other day on the panel with other people. I think the net worth on the panel, not including myself, the net worth in this panel was, I don't know, I would have to say it was probably $2-3 billion. And there was like 8 people on that panel. Ty Lopez was in a room the other day. Billie Jean Marketing. Billie Jean was in a room. Gary Vaynerchuk. The big hitters are out there. Tony Robbins was in a room. When's the last time? Listen, I didn't pay to get in this room. I was in a room with these guys, that's amazing. I've been in some rooms I've been in a room with Gary Vaynerchuk before. But my point is, this is an open dialogue. These are people, you can come up to these rooms and ask questions. They're not asking for money. They're just So if you don't see the value in that, I posted a quote the other day, that Diddy posted to his Instagram this week. He said, if 2020 didn't bring the hustler out in you, you don't have any in you. Think about that. If 2020 didn't bring the hustler out in you, you don't have any in you. That shit hit me. I was like, yeah, that's real right there. Cause I've been hustling all this year and all my people have been hustling this year. And when I say hustling, I mean, you're putting in the work for yourself. You're building your foundation, you're building your processes, you're automating your processes, whatever, you're optimizing your processes, whatever it is, but you're building ownership for your own thing rather than giving your time and your lifeblood and your life energy to somebody else for very little in return. People will build their dreams with your work if you don't put any work into your own dreams. It's true. But if you start to put work in your dreams, people will come along and help you build your dreams. I'm one of those people. I want you to have everything I have. I want you to have more than everything I have. I want to learn from you guys. I want you guys to go out and I want these seeds to plant and I want them to grow and I want to come back and I want to come hang out on I want to borrow your yacht. I don't want to own a yacht. I want to get on your plane. Right. So where we were at, so again, in a little while, I'm going to take a caller. We're going to ask some questions. And then I'm going to give away, I might even listen, I have 2 invites to Clubhouse. If I'm feeling friendly, like if you guys are out there, you got an iPhone, I'll get you on the app. I'll let you see what kind of value this is. I've picked up listen, I have a client tomorrow, first thing in the morning, that I picked up on this app. It's that good. Like there's going to be more millionaires in the next 3 months, probably than any other time. And I promise you, it's just from that app. I've heard all people in all hairstylists, fingernail stylists, doctors, the creator of the coronavirus vaccine, every kind of walk of life. And so the way it is, it's segmented into rooms. Just like I'm sitting here talking about how to build $1 million business, there's a room in there right now with 100 people sharing their experience and asking questions, doing the same thing. Now, it may not be build a spiritual business and how to keep your spiritual alignment in the process, but there's still value there. And so I might think that like I have friends that I've made that have found the Awaken Aware community that came from the Clubhouse app. So, if you haven't, check it out. If you don't, listen, I would wait to download it because you might get one of these invites, but if you download it, you get put on a waiting list. If you have anybody in your contacts that are already in, they can bring you in if they see it. So that's the way the app's working right now. And I highly recommend that you get on it if you're not on it, because I don't want to hear in 3 months, like, Nick, man, how did you get all these tens of thousands of followers? How are you making all this money? I'm like, man, it's just from Clubhouse, man. Like I've been on this app. I got friends on here. I got community people on here, and I've been just making deals with movers and shakers just because it's here. Why? It's the thing of the year. It's the biggest thing of 2021. I mean, less a meteor. No, never mind. I'm not going to say it, but it's the biggest thing going on in 2021. Look it up. I'm telling you about it. I've been telling people about it all week. If you don't know about it, get on Clubhouse. Listen to me. Get on Clubhouse. Okay, so I'm not going to tell you that again. So I hope you heard me. So yeah, unfortunately my friend Ben didn't get into the show, which is kind of weird. It's, so I'm just going to send him this link one more time. I hope he can jump in, because I would actually bring him in on the show and share with you. I know how to do it. I know how to get him in this time. I'm glad you guys found me, but I know that Facebook, when I shared the link earlier, some people weren't able to get on. It's because they somehow put the date to 1969. It had already passed. So anyhow, so what we've done is we were incorporating a business to just get in business. And here's why we do that. While you're in business, your mind changes. You start looking for opportunities. You start recognizing, hey, I could do something if I knew where the money was at, or if I had some money, I'd be willing to do this. Or better yet, maybe I have a lemon tree in the backyard and it makes 12 lemons a year. I could sell 12 lemons. Most people are like, oh yeah, but I could just put those on eBay, or I could take them down to the farmer's market. That's absolutely right. But if you're in business, you could sit down, write how you grew it, what the steps were, what the formula was for nitrogen to water to oxygen that got your lemon tree to 12 lemons a year, and then say, okay, well, it took this much shade and this much space, and then if you replicate that, here's 20 of those in this type of soil, and then so if I have 200 of these, now I'm making 200 lemons, a month that I can now sell, right? So, but now you say, okay, I want to put that up on a website, and I want to gate that. So now I'm going to write a little blog post that says how to grow 12 lemons into 200 a month, or how to grow one lemon into 200 a month and make money with a business growing lemons in your backyard. I don't know. That's a really hokey. I hope none of y'all are growing lemons, but actually, I know some of y'all are growing lemons. Actually, I really do. I know a few of you got some lemon trees in your backyard. That's why I brought it up. But my point is so now you write this one little article, and you're like, yeah, but I'm never going to sell that. That doesn't make sense. You're absolutely right. You're probably not going to sell that. You're probably going to give that away free as a blog post. But what happens when Google finds that now for the next 10 years, that's the go-to piece. Probably took you 45 minutes to write that, but now that's the go-to piece on how to grow lemons in your backyard and make a little bit of money off of that. So everybody who wants to do the same thing starts finding your piece and is driving traffic to your blog. All right. And you're like, well, okay, that's nice. Now what do I do? Okay. Well, now you sell fertilizer. Now you sell lemon trays. Now you sell the next book that tells you where to sell lemons, how to get the best growth out of your lemons. Now you sell, if you're passionate about, this is only if you're passionate about lemons. Now you tell like the farmer's market. Now you write the guide on how to judge lemons, et cetera, et cetera. And you sell that. And it's that simple. But now you're working in the industry that you're passionate. You've created the industry that you're passionate about. That was whack. I realize nobody wants to sell lemons. But here's the thing is that can be applied to anything. It really doesn't matter if it's gardening. Doesn't matter if you're making your own organic cleaning products. Doesn't matter if you're doing essential oils. Doesn't matter if you're selling coffee or T-shirts or clothing, or if it's your intellectual rights. Maybe you're an expert at something. Maybe you know how to draw really well. Maybe you're a photographer. Doesn't matter what you're passionate about. I'm gonna tell you right. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna give you a business model on how you could make money reading a book. Say you're good at reading a book, and you say, well, how can I possibly make money just reading a book? Well, you can give critiques on that book. That's one way. So you build a website and you give critiques on books. You just read it and put up your own critique of it. Then you invite other people to read the same book and ask for their critique and list it on your website. Now you have this book critique website, and you say, okay, well, nobody's going to pay for that. You're absolutely right. But guess what? The people who came to read the book, you put a link up, you sell the book. You say, well, I don't have the book for sale. Well, guess what? You join Amazon affiliates. Go to affiliates.amazon.com. You sign up. You can now list any Amazon product, and every time they sell it, they give you a percentage. I think they start you at 8%. You sell 10 items, they move you up to 12%. Then they move you up to 13%. I think you can get all the way up to 20%. You get 20% of a sale of anything that comes to your website from Amazon. So what do you mean? You can sell Amazon products and make money off? Absolutely. So you mean didn't have to have a product, didn't have to have a service. I just gave you a business model for reading books. And guess what? You know how much money you can make off of that? Listen, let me explain to you how you can actually make some serious money with that business model. Okay, so you think, all right, well, in my hometown, I might get three people I know to do a book study with me. Okay, well, that's good. Now there's 50 states. Multiply that times 3. That's 150. So if you can get 3 people from each state, I tell you that would probably cost you about $5 a person to get that out as an ad. So if you can get $5 one time, and when I say one time, that means you pay $5 in advertising to get that person for the lifetime value of a customer for a whole year. So say you do a new book each month in a book club, you've made your money and more. So it's doable, but that's not a great business model. That's just, I'm pointing out that I could turn anything into money in your part-time, in your spare time with your business and a WordPress website. That was free. Come on now. So what are you doing right now? Like what have you been doing in 2020? You've been working from home. You've been watching, Gossip Girl or Gosford Place or whatever the Chess Queen, Yeah. You see what the Queen's Gambit or whatever it was. Point is, Tiger King, it's all this stuff. Like, what are you just doing? Watching TV? I know some of you aren't. Some of you are like, man, listen, I'm barely getting by. I'm barely scraping by. Yep. Well, this is why I'm telling you this is so you're not scraping by anymore. So you can make just, a couple dollars more and a couple dollars more. And what's funny is once you start making a little bit of money in any of these processes, now that you're in business, you will see the ways to optimize them to turn on the cash flow. And I'm going to tell you another cool trick that I learned very early on in marketing. It was the difference between advertising and marketing. But so advertising says, hey, I got this pile over here and I want to sell it. So I put a sign up and say, hey, I got a pile over here. Come get some of this pile. Marketing is saying, hey, man, people are over there not looking for piles. They're looking for gems. And so I go buy gems and take them over to where people are already buying them. Now, why that's important is because there are cash flows that exist. They're just money falling out of the sky. But you're standing over here where there's no money raining down on you. So get up, go over to where the money's at, open your pocketbook, your wallet, the Coach purse that you bought when you should have started your business. Open it up, let the money flow in. That's what marketing is about. Just go to where the money is at. And so if you want to look for a good business, the good business is just whatever you're passionate about. And what I mean by passionate about, I'm sure some of you guys have seen the show Shark Tank. There's a little girl who sells sugar scrubs. She started a business. She's a millionaire. She's a millionaire within 24 months of starting a business, and she created sugar scrubs. I don't know if you know what a sugar scrub is. It's sugar and oil, and that's it. I make sugar scrubs downstairs in my house where I take sugar and put it in a container, just regular old granulated sugar and vegetable oil. Well, I don't use vegetable oil, but virgin olive oil. And then I mix that together and I rub that on my face or rub it on my hands, and it's a sugar scrub. Now, she adds scent to that. She uses nicer oils, and she probably uses some kind of organic Himalayan sugar now because she has the money to improve her process. But when she started out, that's all it was. Shark Tank invested in her, and she was a girl. She was a young girl. I think she was 14 years old when she started the business. I think she might be 19 now, 19 or 20 years old, but she's a millionaire in 2 years, and she sells sugar. I'm sure you guys have heard of her. It's a little pink packaging, and she sold sugar scrubs. That's a commodity that everybody has. It's not, nobody owns that. She was just passionate about it, and she turned her passion into millions and millions of dollars. She barely works now. She sits in her own, actually, she's a workaholic. I shouldn't say that, but she's passionate about her business. Find something you're passionate about. If you don't know how to turn that into a business or service, call me, inbox me, hit me on Instagram, hit me on Messenger. If you got I'm gonna put my telephone number up here. Text me. I will get back to you. I will help you with your business. I will help you with your business model. I'll help you with your business plan. I'll tell you, I won't just say, oh, that sucks or that's great. I'll show you how to do it. I'll give you the tools to do it. If you get on WordPress, I'm telling you, I'll give you $10,000 worth of tools that'll make any business just fly off the shelves. I do hosting. So if you need hosting, I'll help you with hosting. I'll even cut you a deal. I'll put you on the friends and family and get your website up and running. You can even buy a website to me. I think .com right now is like $9. I'm not making any money off of that. That's just how much that's how much it costs. That's how much I have to pay to register the website. But I'll help you get a website, or you can get it through you can get it through whoever you want. GoDaddy, et cetera, et cetera. I don't like those companies because you eventually got to pay them forever and they charge you premiums and stuff. So Jasmine says, check out my Amazon store. I did this in 2022. Great advice. Check out this page. And then she drops the link. Exactly. She's got her own shop on Amazon. Are you kidding? Most people don't know when they're shopping for Amazon. Amazon doesn't really make anything. Now they make a little bit of stuff, but before they didn't make anything. They were just selling stuff from other people's stores. They're drop shipping. They're a glorified drop shipping company. Love the drop shipping model. Built Amazon and it built Alibaba. These are the two largest retail corporations, and that's using other people's stuff and selling it. Why would you? Why would you need to reinvent the wheel? But find the things that align with what it is that makes your soul sing. Listen, if you're a musician, a lot of people think, oh, well, I'm not good enough. How do I sell my music? Well, A lot of ways. One, you can give lessons, right? And you say, oh, well, there's only so much time. Yeah, but you can create a course that people can buy. You can get on Udemy, get down and record your course and teaching people how to do anything, and do Guitar Beginners 101, Flute Players 101. Put that course up, sell it for 99 cents an episode. So each week a person sells 99 cents. You know how many people would flock to that? I would take a course on how to play the guitar for 99 cents a week. Why aren't you? You know how many people I could get to that? I could probably sell 200-300 of those a week. It's $300 a week. It's $1,200 a month. But, and you're probably sitting around playing the guitar at home right now. I know I got a friend on here who makes music. I know I got a couple of y'all that make music, but you're not teaching anybody else how to do it. So you're not making any money doing it. So you don't even have to teach them how to be the baddest guitar player ever. You could just teach somebody how to play tabs. It's worth 99 cents to somebody. You can run an ad for $20 a week and make $100 off of it. But you got to be in business to do that. You got to have the processes up and running, and these are things that you can do in your spare time. Spend 15 minutes a day, spend an hour a week building a process. It doesn't take long to build a website. It really doesn't. I could have a website up in less. I mean, if it wasn't the speed of the internet, I have it up in 5 minutes. But ultimately, the point is it doesn't take long, and I'm sharing this stuff with you not just because I'm passionate about it. And I realize how many people on this show who aren't already in business do you think are going to take the step? Probably none of you. And that's sad to me. But if I get just one of you to jump in business, I'm going to change your life. Ultimately, the funny thing is every millionaire is in business. So what's separating you? What are you doing that like where you're at right now compared to the guy who is playing golf while you're at work, wishing you were home? He incorporated a business. He got in business. He was able to partner with somebody. Like, there's so many ways to make money once you're in business. And, look and listen, when you sit and say, you know what, I'm going to stay true to my spiritual principles, guess what? The business opportunities come in alignment with that. Everybody I try to do business with is not just try to, I strive to do business with people who are working ethic, not at a minimum working ethically. You can go to my website, which is awakenaware.com, and you can see I have an ethics page. I have literally, what our mission is, how we strive to stay ethically. I'd like to turn Awaken Aware into a B business, which is called a B Corp. It's not a filing, but it's basically a corporation that works ethically and opens the books and shows people how the business runs and shows that it's all on the up and up and it's good and we pay people living wages. And then we operate green and, we strive to be stewards of the human people and of the earth. And I intend for Awaken Aware to be there. It's a process. It's a real process, but that's my intentions. So that means I have to do good by the people that I work with, by my vendors, and the people that I get products from. Listen, I'm in the coffee business. I don't know if you guys know about the coffee business, but some people get effed over in the coffee business, and there are people, small farmers in small countries that have guns to the back of their head while they're growing coffee. Like it's a deplorable thing. I don't do business with people like that. You know why? Because if we don't give money to the dictators and if we don't give money to the people, and they sell cheap coffee, the least inexpensive coffees you can buy they're good coffees, but it doesn't take care of the people. So I only buy fair trade coffees. I buy organic coffees. I buy coffee that doesn't erode the soil and doesn't where they keep growing the same thing, where they rotate their crops, et cetera, where they pay their people wages. And they're not always living wages, but for where they are in their economy, they're the equivalent of a living wage where we are. But also to improve those processes, not to just say, oh, it was good in 1999 to have the Rainforest Alliance, but it's like, how are they improving their processes today? And we hold people accountable. And, like right now, I'm not selling you won't see tea on my website, even though we have a whole host of tea. But because of COVID, we can't keep it safe and the whole shipping process. So I put a kibosh on it for the end of 2020 and move it into the next year, because I want people to be safe. And it's not that the tea wasn't safe. It's the way that people had to, the whole process of getting tea to us was not safe, not with COVID. So going to move on here just a little bit and get into some more of this business stuff, and how to build $1 million business. Because we just got into business. I've told you some ways to create services from anything that you're passionate about. If you don't know, I realize what I'm talking about may sound foreign to you, but these things are very easily. They don't take very easy. They don't take easily. They're very easy. They don't take a lot of time. You might have to do a little bit of research on Google. Brian said, I want a third check. I get 2 now. I don't know what my passion is. Well, Brian, I think you like to fish. That's I saw a picture of you the other day with a fishing pole in your hand, smiling at a fish that you caught. That's passion. So that could be leisurely hobbies. That could be fishing itself. You could be passionate about the fishing pole. You could have been passionate about that specific fish that you caught. Maybe I'm the striper king. I want to tell everything there is about stripers. So I write a book about stripers. Write an ebook. Listen, write the book. It doesn't have to be long. Write a 12-chapter book about that one particular fish. I'll show you how to publish it where you don't have to pay a dime until somebody orders the book. And they pay for it when they order the book. So there's no overhead. And guess what? It's shipped directly to you or to your customer, directly from you, and printed as it's ordered. So you don't have to you don't even have to even be your own publisher for no money. So listen, guys, I promise you, there's nothing stopping your dreams but you. And when I say, listen, I know that sounds harsh. Y'all got circumstances. We all had circumstances, because if I didn't have a phone or the internet or any money or a roof over my head, well, guess what? If you don't have a roof over your head, get a roof over your head first. Gotcha. I mean, you got to take care. If you're not feeding yourself, you're not feeding your kids, feed your kids first. Absolutely. But listen, when you've reached the point where you got a roof over your head, you can get some kind of transportation, and, food is not your first priority, then we talk. Then you take this information. But don't just dismiss what I'm saying and saying I'm not there. But I'm pretty sure everybody who's on this podcast, who's watching this on the internet, on Facebook, has a phone, has the internet, has a roof over their head, has some income where you can say, I don't care if you got to save a cup of coffee every other day. I don't care if you've got to go without something. You need to get in business. Once you're in business, you need to get a website. Now, a lot of people say, well, I'm not digital. I'm not good at coding. I don't know how to do it. I don't care. You don't need to do any of that. Check me out. If you go get a WordPress website, I'll install WordPress for you, and I'll put a template on there that'll work for you from day one, and it won't cost you a thing. I'll give it to you for free. How about that? That's something. You know how much I charge for that? You can go to my website right now, nickangel.org. My prices are right there. They start at $250 and they go up to $1,000. But if you can show me where you were in this podcast and you wanted that and you just got your own domain name, I will give it to you. I will put WordPress on there for free. This is normally what I charge $250 for, but I'll put it on there for free. Because you know why? Because I have the tools where it takes me 5 minutes. That's it. It takes me 5 minutes. You know how long it's going to take you? Hours of research, hours of doing it. You might even do it wrong the first time, but for me, it's 5 minutes. And guess what? If I can give you 5 minutes and it'll find value for you and help you get to your dreams, it will help you. Hey man, that's how I get to ride on your yacht later on when I'm old and retired and want to go travel the world. I'll travel the world with you on your yacht. I'll clean the deck. I'll clean the bathrooms. I'm okay with that. So anyway, trust me, get in business. I know that most of you are in business, but Brian, we've talked about this. I've talked about this before with you, Brian. Get in business. Again, doesn't matter if you don't know what you're passionate about yet. Take the plunge, get in business. Here's why. Is when you're in business, it's easier to see what you're passionate about that aligns with other people. The opportunity shows up. If you want to write a government grant, I know people make millions of dollars with government grants. Got to be in business for that. Hang on just a second. I'm going to take a sip of water here. Thank you. So now that we're in business, now that we have an EIN, now that we're incorporated, now that we have a website, get a .com. A lot of people, you may not find what you want in a .com. Don't get a .net. Listen, there's very rare occasions where like a .net or .org or a .info or .biz makes sense. Rare occasions. Try to get a .com. Do everything you can to try to get a .com. All .coms perform better than all other websites. I'm not saying that you can't, but I used to have a business adventure called Calmly. I don't know if you guys remember that, but it was CALM.ly. LY is Libya. So I had to buy a website from Libya. Like literally, I had to talk to the Libyan consulate and they held me over a table. It cost me an auction. I originally got it for $100. And they came back and said, no, it's going to be $200. And they were like, no, it's going to be $300. And then we're like, no, I eventually paid $650 for a .ly website. And then even after that, they started the first year that it was over. They were like, all right, it's back up to auction. I couldn't even just renew it for the price, a normal price. They were like, I think they wanted $800 to renew the website. I was like, you know what, this business is over. So that's what happened to that business. That's why I never finished. I had some huge investors ready for that, but unfortunately I couldn't secure the name because of the website. This is why I highly recommend that you get a .com. .com means commercial. But we all know .com. Highly recommend that you get a .com. And having a website is very important. I don't care if you turn a website into a business card. I don't care if you put your name there. Let me give you some examples. If you have a .com, everybody's seen Linktree, right? There's this new website called Linktree where everybody puts their links to their social media, who they are, whatever. I don't care if you use it as a business card. If you don't have anything there, just put your name and the link to your Facebook account, the link to your Instagram account, Snapchat, all that stuff. Put it there. Make your own Linktree. Instead of paying Linktree $6 a month, you have a website. It'll be brianwilliams.com. Go to brianwilliams.com and see all my links to all the things that I do. Whatever it is, instead of putting all your photos on Facebook, put all your photos on your own website and share them from your website to Facebook. Share them from your website to Instagram. It's your traffic. You own it. You can do stuff with it. You can sell things on there. I told you all the things that you like. Look around your house. What do you have in your house? What have you bought from Amazon? I don't care if you were to go on your website and say, hey, these are my top 10 books. List those top 10 books. Brian, the top 10 books that you've read, list them on your website. Sell them from Amazon. Get passionate about talking about it. Go live and say, hey, I'm reading a book. I just wanted to show you guys, this is the book that I'm reading right now. Not everybody's going to be pretty. Not everybody's going to have that aesthetic for Instagram. Not everybody can, do scorpion pose in the waterfall. But I have friends that are doing the most beautiful yoga businesses. I have friends like Jasmine Says Smart. Jasmine has a wonderful business, Home to My Soul. As a matter of fact, I have her book right here, which we're going to talk about on an upcoming show. I'm going to have Jasmine on the show. She's an author. She's I want to say she's a serial entrepreneur. She's a singer. She's got multiple pages. She's got a huge community and a huge following, and she makes beautiful candles. She's in business for herself. She works from her home, doing what she loves, passionate about what she loves. I love that. Like, that's what I want for you guys. I want you to be able to do that. I want you to be able to find specifically what it is that you do, what makes your heart sing, which makes your soul glow. I said it. What makes your soul glow. And then be able to share that with other people. But at the same time, I don't want you to starve. I don't want you to struggle. I don't want you to have money problems. I don't want you to feel like you don't have freedom when this is all available to all of us, Yeah, I'm tired sometimes. Yeah, I overwork sometimes. Yeah, I'm addicted to work. Yeah, I'm addicted to my business. But guess what? I'm not doing it to the point where it's bad for me. I get rest. I take care of myself. I've put on a whole bunch of weight. Show me somebody who didn't put on weight in 2020. But I'm looking forward. Yeah, but that's because I'm a gym goer and I haven't been going to the gym anymore. But I should be doing processes to take care of that. So no excuses. So now let's back up here for just a second. I love when you guys drop the ha-has. I love that. So I'm going to back up for a second, or not back up, but I'm just going to pick back up. Is what we're talking about, if you're just joining us, is we're talking about how to build $1 million spiritual business. So steps that we took were to get an EIN, incorporate, get a website. And so we're talking about having a website. Highly recommend getting a .com, something that's brandable, something that's memorable. If you can't get a .com, that's okay. But I still recommend using one of the traditional rather than the new, they're called TLDRs. And they have these weird names. Like I used to own one. It was called Serious.marketing. So my company was Serious Digital Marketing. I was like, why wouldn't I own Serious.marketing? And then I started registering for other stuff and I couldn't even put it in the name field because they were like, oh, we need a .com or a dot. It just wouldn't take it. So, as most things in bureaucracy and all different things, it's just too fast for the times. So I highly recommend you get like a .com or .org. .biz is, I don't really love it, but if I also feel like if you can't find the .com, it wasn't meant for you. Try to find something else. But if you already have a business, say Brian, you sell Brian's PBJs, like you have a peanut butter and jelly concoction that like squirts out of a tube and you just make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And so you want brianspbj.com, and brianspbj.com is not available. What do? So do you change Brian to be RYAN and it's off brand, like that kind of thing? I'll give you an example. My business is called Awaken. I always do that. My business is called awakenaware.com. And ampersand is not available in a .com. So I had to use the letter N, awakenaware.com. I feel comfortable with that. I'm okay with that because it's still on my brand. I couldn't put awake_aware.com. It didn't exist. And awakeandaware.com is available. Listen, one of you guys want to go out there and get it, you can go buy it right now. It's $7,000. I'm not buying that because I've been that route before, paying a high dollar amount for my website. Already exists. It's there. It's already established. I don't have to fight with somebody else. And if anybody wants to compete with me in my space for $7,000, bring it. I got you. It's all good. I'll just take you to a judge and he'll force me. I hit you for trademark infringement. And that's all that's necessary in this day and age. So when you get a trademark on something, I'm safe. So I don't have to pay the $7,000 for that. So this wasn't fisticuffs. My point was, do your due diligence. Go out there, just spend a little bit of time looking. Same thing. If you can't find a domain, come to me. I'll help you. I have tools for that. I have something that will recommend 250 domain names. So if you put in, I don't know what to choose.com, I'll get 250. Like, I don't know what to choose.net. I don't know what to choose.info. So I can give you some suggestions. I'm happy to help you with that. Just reach out to me. That's what I'm here. Use me as a resource. You know me. You're in my community. I'm here to help you. Reach out to me on social media. Hit me up in the Awaken Aware group, or just message me. I'm like, hey, I'm interested in starting a business, or any of these stages. I don't know how to get an EIN. I don't know where to find this. Whatever it is, hit me up. Also, if I don't have the answers, I got a whole bunch of other people who will double down. I know accountants, lawyers, et cetera, other business coaches. We'll make sure we get whatever it is that you're trying to do off the ground, and get you the tools. And again, I'm not here trying to make money off you. There's no hook. I'm not sitting here gating anything. All the information that I have is available. And all the tools that I have, I'll be happy to share with you, because listen, you still got to put the work in. At the end of the day, you still got to put the work in. So we now got a .com, and you say, okay, well, now I got a .com. What do I do with that? Now you got to get a host. It's like one more thing. So write this stuff down. Get a EIN. If you don't have a business, please write this down. If you guys are in my spiritual community, if you guys heard about me manifesting, you talk about manifesting, writing this down helps you manifest it. These are the steps to becoming a million. Listen, there's no one step, because the one step to becoming a millionaire, go play the lottery. Spend all your money on the lottery and see if you ever hit for $1 million. I hope you get lucky. That's how you can take that's the one step $1 million. Go to Vegas, risk everything you own. That's the one step $1 million. I'm telling you, there's steps to $1 million, and these are the ones that you got to take. This is not, I'll tell you again, my first $1 million business I built in 2014. It took me 6 months. 6 months. 6 months. Every customer paid me 30. Every customer I had paid me 30. As a matter of fact, I had a problem with my credit card processor because they said, "Yo, your ticket amounts are too high." They're like, we expect normal, no more than $600, and all your tickets are for $3,500. I'm just saying. As every client I had paid me more than $3,500 in 2014. It was a business I started while I was in school. Exactly. I love that. Absolutely. So I'm going to recap the steps for you, Holly. Jessica said, in my honest opinion, we don't need millions. We only need enough. Absolutely. When I was younger, I wanted to build an empire. I have no interest in building an empire. I have the interest in building a community that can help other people grow and facilitate that. Like I plan on running this class 1,000 times, however many times I can, and bringing other people to share into it. It's COVID times, so I have to be very selective of who I bring on the show. I know that we can bring other people in, but I knew that this was going to bring some value. Plus, I want to get some of you guys, I want to give away these invites to Clubhouse because they're so valuable right now, and there's so much value going from them right now. So I thought it'd be great to do this show. So let me recap here. Oh, and I really want to double down on that, Jessica. This is not about making $1 million. We all use that as a value, like, because then you think, oh, I have freedom when I have $1 million. That means I don't have to worry about paying my rent. I don't have to pay. I can buy a car outright. I could buy a house outright. I could buy a business outright. Yeah, Jessica is a busy person. Somebody I respect, and she says, "I'm still here because you're awesome and helpful." Thank you. And I've been following, listen, we met years and years ago down in Miami, and I'm still following you and still loving everything you do as well. And you're touching, as a matter of fact, years ago, you helped inspire me to get in business. So I watched you when you were first starting out. So, doing this, you may be helping somebody else when you get into business. So, it's not about making $1 million. Maybe, so I don't work from a purely for-profit paradigm anymore. This is why I can give stuff away for free. Because look, I got other clients, I got other processes, I got, irons and other fires. And also the funny thing is sometimes it's not worth my time to spend the time that's necessary. I can just give you the tools and let you learn versus me trying to make a couple $100 off of you, like that's nice. I'd love the couple $100. Don't get it twisted. But my time is at a point where when it comes to coaching, I can only gain as much money as I'm coaching. But now that I have processes and products and gated information and all these other things that I can sell you, I make money while I sleep. Disposable income comes from residual income, passive income, and multiple streams of income. Hear me again. Write this down. Disposable income comes from passive income, multiple streams of income, and residual income. Gotta have these. If you want wealth that you can pass on to a family member, if you want wealth that you can retire with, now, like, could you imagine retiring now? Multiple streams of income, passive streams of income, and residual streams of income. Passive meaning that you make it while you do nothing. Multiple streams meaning that it's coming from many different places. If you really want to be wealthy, you got to have 7 streams of income today. And then residual streams, meaning the work that I do today pays me tomorrow. So this is one of the reasons that I mentioned getting a website, digital processes. If I make a product, if I list an Amazon product and then create a piece of content that people come back to over and over again, I will make sales from that for the next 5 to 6 years. I can do that in my sleep. That alone is multiple, passive, and residual in one digital product. Hear me. Hear what I'm saying to you. Make money doing what you're doing. If you got a brick and mortar store, you've got to pay people to be in the store. You got to pay overhead on the lights. You've got to pay overhead on the merchandise that you have in the store. You've got to pay depreciation on the equipment in your store. You've got to pay property tax if you own the property. There's a lot of things involved. You own a website? It's $9 a year. And I can sell twice as much as you do in a store. And I don't ever have to budge. It's contactless. I don't have to catch COVID. Just saying. Now, people like to go for certain things. People are only going to buy in person. But there are plenty of things that everybody shops on Amazon now. You can sell your wares on Amazon. So I've told you guys already that I helped companies make over $30 million. The majority of those were in Amazon sales. And we made nothing. What we did is we researched companies. We had over 60, actually, when it was said and done, we had over 300 websites. And we found companies that made stuff that were really bad at marketing. And we listed their products on Amazon for them. And we made the profit. And that's how we did it. That's how we got over $30 million. We stopped. We weren't even advertising anymore. We just put stuff on Amazon. That was it. Because we would get the buy box. So that means like if you were to look for something specific on Amazon, we were the first people to show up on Amazon and go, we're really good at showing up and being competitive on Amazon. And we did, I think our first year we did, so the company with Richard Tyson was who started it, and it's in Florida. And it was originally called IVG Stores, and it turned into Shop Ladder. They're still around. Look them up. They sell millions of products, and they're still doing it. And they don't do so well on Amazon anymore, but they're still out there, and they still make millions of dollars. They got 50 people working in an office right now, so they're taking care of people, and they don't make anything. They make absolutely nothing. They run a call center. I think it's very interesting. Okay, so. I can get real passionate this, and I go on and on and on days. I want to help Africa, and am already. We didn't finish that. I think you're saying you're ready, Brian. You want to help Africa. Well, let me tell you something about Africa. Africa is a continent that is the richest continent in the entire world. So they don't need wealth. What they need is civility. There's a lot of places there where civility is just not a thing. And when I mean I mean like civilization. And I don't mean that Africans are not civilized. I mean that there are dictators, and there are people with guns, and there are people who want to be in control in Africa, in certain places in Africa. And we've had countries from all over the world dip their hand into it, from the UK to the United States to Germany. And they just wanted to strip Africa of their resources. And of course, they use slave labor, and a lot of that still goes on in Africa today. It's deplorable. So whatever you can do to find a way to help over there, it's a wonderful thing. But I'm going to tell you what Africa needs. Needs education. Needs to be able to educate 12-year-old girls and younger, like girls from 8 to 12. That's the front line. That's where we can make change in Africa. That's where we can make change in the world, is to be able to educate young women. Because guess what? Women bring up men. They bring up boys. They're the mothers. They're the ones that teach their children on both sides. So if you can educate women and bring them education at a very young age, as they grow up, they stop the rape culture. They stop the genocides. They stop. It's because you educate young women. That's it. That's how we make change in the world. All the things that are going on in the world that are deplorable, if we can start educating women, that's where we can dig a trench and make it. Because where do you just topple something? Where do you spend billions and billions of dollars at one particular thing? It's just not, and then expect change. It's not. We have to change it for the future. And to do that is we got to educate young women. Somebody much smarter than I came up with that. Those aren't my words. That's a friend of mine who used to work for Hillary Clinton as engineering. So Hillary Clinton, when she was Secretary of State, she said, well, how do we make change in Africa? And they hired a bunch of engineering analysts to come up with that information. And that's the information that came back. A very good friend of mine was one of those engineers. And he presented it, and they were like, yeah, this is absolutely it. They found to make change in Africa, it's educate young women. Brian says, right now, people are committing suicide for hunger, people that I talk to. And no, that's awful. So There's food everywhere. It's about politics. It's about how to get them food sustainably. So there's plenty of food all over the world. And, we're getting into, if I get into this, it's getting into politics, but there's humanitarian aid. That gets dropped into Africa all the time. But then there's, warlords that come and take it. It's not safe for people to deliver it. It's the same thing in Syria and other countries. It's a deplorable thing. So I commend you if you find a way to do that. But here's the thing is, make your business, if that's what you're passionate about, make it your business to do the research to figure out how to get food to those people sustainably, safely. If you can figure out how to do that, you're making a difference, So I commend you if that's really what you want to do. But start with the research aspect. And see, that's the thing is if you're in business, you may find the way. And see, it's not just about being in corporation, but what I mean is when you start to realize the movers and shakers of these are nonprofits and they're in business. And so if you want to make a phone call to a nonprofit and get to somebody, you can say, hey, I'm Brian Williams, but you can say, hey, I'm Brian Williams from the Brian Williams Foundation. And, I'm here to find out what I can do. And can you guys tell me what it is that you guys need? A lot of people are going to tell you, we need money. We need more money. We need more money. But they might say we need resources, or we might need workflow, people, et cetera, et cetera. And there you go. You would see what it is that you can do and then figure out how to do that. And there you go. Right off the bat, you figured out how to run your business. That's how most nonprofits actually operate. A lot of people say, hey, this is what I want to do. And then they go say, okay, well, we need funding. And then they go look at a grant, and the grant says, okay, we'll pay you to do that, but we also need you to deliver water in Africa. And then they say, okay, well, we got to figure out how to do that too. And that's how they become, the water company who also teaches young women how to create, shoes or something that helps their village, or, teaches young boys carpentry, whatever it is. You can do that too. That's how you get a grant and do the passions that you do, is by also taking care of another need that the government's already established. That's how you get grants. I'm not going to go into all those little things. You can catch up with me later, and I will help you, Brian, figure out how to establish what your passion is in business. Because, otherwise, here's the thing, is make a lot of money. Make a lot of money and donate your money. That's one way of being passionate, or create a foundation where people, shed light on the problems that you see and allow people to donate money to help those, like actually funnel money to already establish. So one of the things is we don't have to always establish a new charity, because there are already charities that already exist, and those charities are already doing a good job. And they already have the infrastructure. Like, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So maybe you just need to get more money to those charities. And a lot of people do that, there are lobbyists for charities that look for money for their that's the actual position. Like, the people go to college to do exactly that. So just letting you know, there's all kinds of things that you can do. Whatever it is that you feel altruistic about, whatever it is that you feel passionate about, there are ways that you can make a living doing that without starving yourself or doing like I do. You don't have to work 100 hours a week. It's not necessary. You can just find something that you're very passionate about and be consistent with it and be effective with it. I got to tell you guys, there's people out there making $1 million right now on YouTube acting like a jackass. So there's a guy named Mr. Beast who is famous for giving away money. He makes money because he gives away money. Like, why isn't that us? Like, why did I come up with that idea? He just does charitable things for his friends and other people. People love watching him, and his viewership is so high that he has sponsorship. His sponsorship pays him, and in that process, he's able to give away millions and millions of dollars. So, and he has fun doing it. Like, give you an example, he gave a car away by last person holding the car. I think it was a Lamborghini. Last person holding the Lamborghini wins it. So I think it was like 4 days later, one of his friends was holding it, and he gave away, that was to his friend, but he does other stuff too. Check him out. His name is Mr. Beast. You find him. He's all over the place. He's a young kid. So what I'm saying is, whatever, the millennials are showing us that you can make money doing whatever you want to do. If you don't have a YouTube face, don't have a radio voice, if you don't have a passion, you don't have a product, use somebody else's. It's perfectly fine. Like I said, you can make money reading books. You can make money selling other things. You can make money doing reading books and giving real value in the way you critique it. So I tell you, all you got to do is answer the questions. How do you give the most? Ask this question to yourself twice a day before you go to bed and when you wake up in the morning. How do I give the most value to the most amount of people in the shortest amount of time for the least amount of money? Apple solved that problem. Microsoft solved that problem. Food companies solve that problem. And that's why they're in business, and that's why they make millions and millions of dollars. Every time you ask that question, you're going to come to a new hurdle. Then you learn to overcome that hurdle. You make more money. It's just that simple. I do it all the time. So where we're at is here, Holly, if you're still with us and you got your paper out and you asked for me to recap these steps, here's these steps. Get an EIN, employee identification number. Incorporate in your state. So this is just getting you into business. I mean, how do we make you $1 million? How do you make a business that's paying you or making enough money? I'm gonna get you there. Trust me, I'm gonna get you there before I get off this channel. So EIN, incorporate, get a .com, get a website. And when I say get a website, don't get a Wix website. Don't go to Squarespace. Listen, I've used Squarespace and I've used Wix. There's an issue. One, you got to pay them both money when you want to get rid of the Wix advertising, you have to pay Wix money. Same thing with Squarespace, you got to pay them money each month, and they don't incorporate the big boy tools. You're paying them from a service, and they're not giving you all the tools. They're not giving you how to integrate with HubSpot. They're not integrating with Salesforce. They're not giving you, like, I can build memberships. Like, I can sell a whole membership on, I'm not saying you can't do that, but that's an upgrade on Squarespace. That doesn't come with the basic package. Do you see what I'm saying? You got to pay the money. I don't have to pay money to do that. I can take my own credit cards. I don't have to use Stripe as a processor. I don't like Stripe. So I don't use Stripe. I can take a payment from Amazon, PayPal, my own credit card processor. Can't do that. Can't do it on either of those platforms. If you're on, what's the other big one that sales something where I don't even know their name, but a lot of people get on there and use it. Millions of people are building websites there, but guess what? They're paying $300 a month for their website for the same website that I pay nothing per month for. So it's your choice. And then every time you want to upgrade something, you've got to pay them more money, and they keep finding ways to squeeze money out of you. When you can own this, when you own it, you can make all the money off of it, all the profit off of it, not have to pay them. Sure, they have features. They have things that are good. I can't think of the name. I still can't think of the name on it. Maybe I just don't want to plug them. I'm sure you guys know who it is. Their company begins with sales something, but I don't use it. It's Shop something. It's Shopify. That's what it is. I'll tell you who it is. So some people start websites on Shopify, and everybody I know in Shopify is paying them more than $300 a month. Guess what? It's good that they're in business and they can afford to pay them $300 a month, but I'd rather keep the $300 in my pocket. I'll tell you again, Pete Cashmore started on WordPress. Pete Cashmore sold Mashable for $50 million. Have you heard of Ariana Huffington? Huffington Post is a WordPress website. What? Exactly. Ariana Huffington is a multimillionaire, owns a media conglomerate, and she started with a WordPress website. So if it's good for her, it should be good for you, and it's super easy to use. It's not hard. It's just, it has a process. You got to learn the process. But guess what? You can get on YouTube, get on Google. If you haven't figured it out by the end of the week, call me. It's that simple. I will give you a half hour of my time and show you how to do it. I'll put all my tools in the back end so you have all the easy stuff where you can build right on the front end, just like you do Wix, except it's a WordPress website. So there's no excuse. That's really what it comes down to, is right now there's no excuse. If you've stayed on this call this long, you've got some passion, you've got some drive. You want some, you at the very least want to change something in your life. And I'm ready to do that for you. I'm ready to show you how to do it. And again, I haven't asked you for a dime. Now, I know one of the funny things is when you tell people, I'm going to give it to you for free, they don't feel like it's any value. But if you know me, if you know me, I don't do anything but give value. It's one of my tenets in life is to find a way to give value. So you said you just looked her up a few days ago. Yeah, she's a big deal. So there's more websites in the world built on WordPress than any other platform. There you go. There you go. And billions and billions of dollars go through WordPress. And again, I'm not pushing WordPress. Like if you know how to design your own website and you want to go through something else and you want to build it yourself, by all means. But I highly recommend that you do it in HTML with CSS, Java, and PHP. Why? Because those are the predominantly used things and they're not going anywhere, and you should be able to integrate with everything. And that's all there is to it. Stay away from Flash media. Don't use Flash media anymore. It's going away. Love Flash. My sister learned everything there was about Flash and makes absolute beautiful Flash websites. And then all of a sudden it went away. So I feel bad for her. But you got to roll with the punches. And so she doesn't make Flash websites anymore. She's a city planner and she does stuff for the city. So she doesn't build that many websites anymore. So she transitioned. Okay. So Holly, I hope you got all those. I hope everybody got, what those 5 things were, right? EIN, incorporate, get a website. Now figure out what you're passionate about. Well, it was 5 things. It was 4 things. Figure out what you're passionate about and then figure out how to monetize that. So when I say monetize that, first off, just become the authority in whatever it is that you do. And when I say become the authority, you don't have to become the authority, but become a authority. And how do you become an authority? So if you grow lemons, write a book on lemons. That makes you an authority. Do some research. Find all the people who are authority. Put together a body of their work. That can make you an authority. Say, hey, listen, I'm the person that put together an easy find place. All the people who know how to become a mechanic. Like if you know how to change brakes fast, write a blog on how to change brakes fast. There isn't one. I promise you, if a person, like people go to YouTube, I bet you right now, if I go to YouTube and search how to change your brakes fast and safe, whatever the top thing comes up, I bet you it's got 1 million views. You know, guess what? That person's got 1 million views. And they probably, off of 1 million views, they probably make $35 a month. That's it. But off that 1 million views, I would also go to Amazon.com, look up brake pads, and look up every tool that goes with brake pads and list that on my website. That goes to that link. So a person can see, oh, here's Nick suggesting how to do brake pads, and here's all the tools that I use to do it fast. And a person can just click there and buy those. And just through affiliate marketing alone, now on the traffic that I'm only making $35, I just started making $2,000 a month. And I mean, if you see how that goes, that's $2,000 a month in sales from affiliate marketing. And guess what? If you convert 3% of your traffic, just 3% of your traffic, and make $2 per sale at 3% of $1 million. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. So, I don't have a calculator in front of me. So I'm not going to do the math. I'm just going to tell you it's a lot of money. So I think if you've seen this point, you've seen that you can turn any business or any traffic or anything you're passionate about into a way to make money, to make extra money. It doesn't matter if you knit, show somebody else how to knit. If you know how to knit something specific, like if you could knit Baby Yoda right now, do you know how much money? Listen, take the steps, make a YouTube video and say, hey, this is how you knit Baby Yoda. Now that sounds like, how would you make money off of that? I'll tell you again, you can go buy all the yarn and then resell it. If you're brolic enough, that's cool. If you got the money to warehouse that stuff, great. But guess what? You don't have to do that. Just go to Amazon, look up the same color yarns and say, hey, this is a kit. Here's a link where you can buy all this stuff, put it in a shopping cart, click one button and sell the 5 color yarns, knitting needles, the bag, all the kind of stuff that they would need to do that, show people how to do that. And next thing you know, you know how much of those you would have sold this year in 2020 with all the Baby Yoda stuff? Just saying. It's not very difficult to see how there's value in being prepared and just sharing what you're passionate about. Like, this is what I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about marketing. I'm passionate about spirituality. I'm passionate about connecting communities. I'm passionate about people waking up and not having to struggle financially, because I did when I was well, no, I didn't. That's not true. I got to listen. I woke up a week later. I got a check for $6,000 and I was out. I manifested a check, and then I manifested another check. See this right here? That's what I did. I manifested checks. So that's what happened to me when I woke up. And I hope you guys can do the same thing. And it's about being prepared. And once you're in that prepared space, now, how do you get from making $2 to $3 to making $1 million? So it's maximizing these things. It's making multiple. So it gets into making multiple streams of income. I'll give you an example. So if you have so after a while, you've done any of these processes and you've built a list, an email list of 10,000 people. That's your goal. I want you to write that down. Holly, write that down. 10,000 people on an email list is your goal. Here's why. Remember that 3%? So 3% of 10,000. Now I can do the math on that, I think. It's 300 people. Sounds about right. 100% of 1,000 is 100. So 300. It's 3,000, excuse me. No, it's 300. It's correct. Excuse me. So 10,000 people, 3% is 300 people. That's a normal conversion rate of sales. So if you have an email list of 10,000 people and you were to send out one email, you would make 300 sales. The industry standard is 3%. So if you can make 3% converting 300 people, now here's where you make $1 million. And it doesn't matter what it is. Remember what your sales, listen, if you're doing, I will show you how to do this if you're selling essential oils. If you're selling reading book subscriptions, if you're selling, Jessica said she's only at 1,100, only 10% of them represent 80% of my business. That's crazy when you represent 80% of her business. And she's at 1,100, and that is her email list. She knows exactly what I'm saying. I'm telling you, your email list is an absolute goldmine. Don't listen to anybody else in marketing who tells you, oh, this is what you got to do. I'm telling you what you got to do is get an email list. And this is why you own your own website is you put up content and you have people come when they click like, they get your email, or when they hit subscribe for any amount of value or want to get a coupon from you, and you build that email list. When you send out one email, you can expect 3% of that to convert, because these are already people who are interested in your business. You convert 3% of that. And say you make $1 on 3%, that's $300. So would you write an email for $300? Okay. So now start selling products where you make $10. Right? See how this is working? So now you're making $3,000. So if you can do that in one day, that's $1 million a year. So that's your goal. I want you to write that down. I think it's $2,722 is the amount that you need to make every day to make $1 million. It's a lot of money. Some people say, yeah, I can make $2,700. Well, so listen, I know that every client that I sign up, I can get to pay me $3,500. I can go find them right now. I know where they're at. I know how to get them, and I know how to do the work for them. But can I sign up and consistently serve 365 clients in a year? No, I can't do that. So I couldn't make $1 million that way. That's not my business model. I also don't need to make $1 million. But the point is, what I can do is I can show 5 people the same thing and take a percentage of what they make by showing it to them under the umbrella of my business. So that's not MLM. I can hire these people, or I can put it in an MLM and say, hey, look, I'm going to show you how to do this. You can go out and do that. And if you sign these people up, you can make money. There's so many different ways. I'm just giving you an example. And that's one way. And that's my business model. I can show people how to do digital marketing. I can show people how to sell websites. I can show people how to do the graphic design, any of these things. I can help somebody do the exact same thing that I do and turn that into a business and make money off of them. And because what happens is you hit a ceiling when you're working by yourself and you're only doing your own processes. So if you cut hair, you can only make as much money as you can cut hair in the day. And I don't think you're ever going to make $2,700 every day for 365 days. So you'll never make $1 million just cutting hair. So now I know $1 million hair cutters. You know what they do? They own a salon. They put seats next to them and they rent those seats out to other people to cut hair too. I know beauty people who make $1 million. You know why? It's because they own their own website. They sell their own lashes. They have contracts with Fashion Nova. They have contracts with other people in the business that sell products through their traffic, because they put up videos of them doing makeup. They put up videos of them doing hair, right? They create content and they gate that content. And because of that, they're able to create processes that make money off of the traffic that they create. They create traffic off of the interest of their passions. They just find other people that are like themselves and share it. It's that simple. It's really not hard. There are tons of people there are so many millionaires in the digital age, and all of you are capable of doing this. You don't have to be an internet whiz. You don't have to know how to build a website. You don't know how to have to use WordPress. You don't have to have more than $500 to do this. And all the people who are doing it are doing the exact steps that I told you to take. So what makes you think that you should go to work for the next year and then ask and wait for that person to show up in your life that's going to make you $1 million? Because I know all of you who don't have $1 million or ever, listen, I've slept on $3 million cash. I know what it feels like. I know what it smells like. That's because I briefly worked for the company Loomis Fargo. This was not my money, but I've seen it. It's a lot of money. It's a big deal. This was all 20s. This was on pallets. I've laid down on it and taken a nap. It's crazy to think about having that kind of money in your life and the freedom that comes from it. It doesn't have to be a lot of money, like Jessica said. But what I highly recommend that you do, take these processes, put them in play, optimize them, and figure out, because listen, whatever you start out doing, in the end, you're not going to be doing the same thing. I promise you. That's why you get in business from the very beginning. If you're not already in business, everything you're already doing can be part of your business. I know a ton of you guys are out there sharing memes left and right. You've seen my memes. I share memes all the time. And guess what? Some of mine are branded. They match my brand. They match Awake and Aware. You know why? Because I'm promoting my business, but I'm also giving you guys value in the meme, and you guys are spending time looking at it. It's brand awareness. So the same thing I was doing before I was in business is the same thing I'm doing now, but guess what? Now I'm making money off of it. You could be doing the same thing. Really, like if you're passionate about your charity, why isn't the charity flow? Why aren't you gaining brand awareness while you're also directing other people to other charities? It really doesn't matter what you do, but you could also be in business doing whatever it is that you do. And I highly recommend, I would be doing the same thing that I'm doing right now. Like if I didn't have a job, if I didn't make money, I'd be sitting in my mother's basement right now and saying, hey, come check out Awake and Aware or check me out. But I'd be playing a video game. And I'd be trying to convince you that I'm the best video game player and look at my high score. Difference is I'd make no money doing that. But right now, if I want to, I could start a video game team and get people together to play. Why? Because I'm in business, and that's just what I can do now versus what I wasn't doing for myself before. I was joining somebody else's platform. I was flowing traffic through their platform. I was giving all my attention and energy to them versus myself. So this show has run a lot longer than I wanted to. I have not taken that call yet. So I'm going to put this number up. There we go. There's a number. I want somebody to call me. So the first person that calls me is either number. Doesn't matter which one you call. First person that calls me, I'm going to give an invite to Clubhouse. If you're not on Clubhouse, get on Clubhouse. Do whatever you got to do. And I told you, people are paying $1,000 an invite to get into Clubhouse. It's invite only. If you only have a Galaxy phone or a Samsung, it might be worth for you to change just to get on Clubhouse. It's a true statement. Somebody give me a call, get this Clubhouse invite. Ask me some questions. Tell me about your business. I might even coach you up right now, tell you how to get to the next step from wherever you're at. Share with the community, or I don't care, just call and say hi. Maybe you got an Apple phone or don't have an Apple phone. Don't care about the Clubhouse invite. That's true. That's okay too. Give me a call. I know there's a few of you on still right now. Ah, nice. Good evening. Welcome to Wake and Where. Who do I have on the line?
Jessica.
Hi, Jessica. Oh, I'm absolutely glad that it was you, and I'm glad you called in. How are you tonight?
It's Jessica.
Hi, can you hear me? Can you hear us? Jess, can you hear us?
Yes,
Ah, wonderful. Okay, great. So, thanks for calling in. I'm glad you had some great stuff to share with us tonight, especially like when you were sharing about your email list. I thought that was awesome how you were breaking down that 10% of your email list is 80% of your business. Like, that's crazy.
it is crazy. Yeah.
How long is it taking you to get to 1,100 people?
You really want to know?
I do no, because I know it's sometimes it can be different, especially if it's organic. Like if you really got high value customer, like people are really interested, it can take a while.
Yeah, it's been completely organic, and I'm trying to think. I think I started my website in 2012.
Wow. Okay. So
Yeah,
starting back to so we're in 2021 now. So for about 8 years now, 8 or 9 years, you've been growing that email list.
I have. And the funny thing is that it didn't start as something that I was growing as an email list. I had retail locations at the time when I started my email list. So um, you know, things have changed. And over the course of my business, I've had several different retail locations. And with time, it's been more and more apparent that retail and physical brick and mortar is not necessarily the way to go.
Mm.
And so I've now, just because of the pandemic, really switched over to a strictly online model.
Mm.
So it's really been in the last, in the last year that I've really, really valued the email list that I do have.
Great. So why don't you just take a second since we're here and this is all community, and I love what it is that you do. Would you share with the community exactly what it is, what your business is?
Sure. Well, I am an aromatherapist and a yoga therapist as well. And Tree of India started as a yoga business. When I first started teaching yoga, I felt really kind of insecure about promoting me
Mm.
because it wasn't about me.
Right.
It was about yoga, and it was about um, the things that I believed in, and those things are not necessarily who I am. Or I mean, they are, but they're not. It came from somewhere else, and it was something that I bought into and still believe in and do buy into. And eventually, I got more and more comfortable with the idea of Tree of India being its own identity, and um, something that would represent these ideals of that that things aren't. Uh, it's really hard to put spiritual things into words, but I'll try. Um, so yeah, Tree of India just became more a way for me to share the things that are valuable to me. And one of those is the idea that nature is medicine. My
Mm.
mother is an herbalist, and so I grew up in with that, and with Native American roots as well. And so it just became really um, I don't know, an obvious thing that the business was kind of the primary focus rather than me looking at where where I come into the picture. I guess it's hard for me to put that into words. There's something bigger than me involved in Tree of India.
Mm. For sure. So one of the things that I want to point out is so when you first started out, you said so you're an aromatherapist and you were making money, it's just some money as a yoga practitioner, teacher, and then also providing aromatherapy as a service.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, but then ultimately what you realized is there's more of a business here beyond yourself.
Definitely. So, aromatherapy, I'll be completely honest, my business now is aromatherapy. Tree
Mm.
of India is an aromatherapy company. However, the reason that aromatherapy came into the focus was because I felt like the spirituality piece was hard to sell.
Mm.
Aromatherapy and having an actual physical product is a little bit easier to sell than
Mm.
spiritual beliefs.
Understood. Absolutely. So very much. Um,
Yeah,
I get it,
yeah,
because it's kind of one of the things I kind of wanted to address tonight. So I appreciate that you pointing that out. A lot of us in this community, and when I say this community, I don't just mean the Wake and Aware community. I mean spiritually conscious people. Find it difficult to always want to put a dollar amount on themselves. And this is one of the reasons that a lot of yoga teachers spend a lot of time starving before they really come into their own. And I don't mean starving literally. I just mean that their freedom from with money is not what it should be until they really come into their full selves. And it's pressed, especially in the yoga community. I keep going back to that, is because these people have to learn. These people, I'm included. To market themselves, they have to understand that they are valuable. Their time is valuable, and what they have to share has value. It really does have value, and it's not capitalizing on what is spiritual. It is capitalizing on what has value, in my opinion. Like we are spiritual people. Our processes are spiritual, and the information that we're sharing is spiritual. But it's the processes that we provide value with. That's what we get paid from.
exactly, exactly. And I grew up in a very non-traditional household. I grew up in a log cabin in the woods, which is kind of you know, I grew up in the 80s. So, so to be a teenager living in a log cabin in the woods in this era of excess of the 1980s was very much an anomaly.
Very
And
much.
having a mother who was an herbalist and growing up the way that I did, that all was sort of behind the yoga. And then when yoga obviously resonated with me because it is looking at us as a creature of the universe and of the earth. And so that resonated so much, but it was really difficult for me to have other people be able to relate to that, where using herbal essences and plant essences seemed a lot more tangible. And so in the very beginning of my business, yoga was what I wanted to convey, but I found that using aromatherapy made it a little bit easier for the general public to understand where I was coming from. And now that I've been in business for a little while, there's this want or need to combine all of those things, the environmentalism with um, spiritualism, and something that's much more easy to integrate into an everyday lifestyle. And I think that's what my business is kind of all about, is how to integrate all of those things so that a person can feel whole and not even feel whole, but recognize they are already whole.
So, Jessica, what's your website? What's the name of your website?
It's treeofindia.com. Got very lucky too.
What? See, well, that's when it's meant for you, right? Oh, I listen.
Yeah,
I've seen. I've taken a look at your website before, and I just want to post it in the room so people can find it and see what it is that you're doing, and put it up here. And you have an absolute wonderful logo. Like, your branding is beautiful. I love what it is that you do. It's aligned, and it's aligned with you. And I think everybody that's ever come across you or the business has very quickly recognized that, and I think that's why you have the name Tree of India. Like, it is who you are, and it's a beautiful thing. And I've bought some of your wares way back in the day. Some essential oil in Miami. I think it was at a Earth Day Fest or something like that. I don't remember what the festival was called, but it was one of those festivals. Um, and I thought it was wonderful. And I don't have it, but it exists at my uncle's house. I think I don't remember what the scent was, but I believe in aromatherapy. I think it works. I use it always. I have a little aromatherapy station in my studio and my bedroom, so I absolutely believe in it. And I think I want to say it's sad about the way COVID is, and the way it has treated traditional businesses. But I think every conscious person knew that they had to pivot some way to continue to make sales, to make a living, to not watch the business go under. And the ones that have been able to, I have some people are just saying, like, this is my best year ever, just because they found ways to get around what was going on. So, you've said you've transitioned over to mostly online sales. So I'm assuming you had to close your brick and mortar.
I did. And it's kind of an interesting story is that it's always been my goal that Tree of India works for me
Mm-hmm.
and that I don't work for Tree of India.
Love it.
And that sounds terrible because
Not at all.
I'm a one-person business, and I am Tree of India in a way, but in another way, I'm not. Tree
Mm-hmm.
of India represents my beliefs and my values. And so I've always wanted the business to, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, in my opinion, it has to end up being a situation where you feel better than you might feel if you were working for a large corporation. And I did. I worked for several large corporations in upper management and as a buyer, and gave a lot of my time and learned a lot from that. And I learned enough from those large corporations to realize that there was some soul missing there once it gets to a certain size a lot of times.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And so I wanted to feel, I'm just that kind of person that if there's no soul involved and there's no genuine interest on my end, I don't really want to spend any part of my life involved in that, because it just seems like there's just more potential to life than that. So
For sure. And it makes a difference
yeah,
who you
so
align with as well.
exactly. So I kind of broke away from that and decided to go off on my own and start this new company. And my new company was Tree of India. And every time that Tree of India has gotten to a place where it didn't work for me, I set it aside for a little while. And that sounds terrible, but it's a learning process, and I've set it aside for a while because I didn't necessarily always have the guidance that I wanted or the teachers that I wanted. It's really tough as an entrepreneur to find somebody that you can trust and value their opinions and their advice. And so there have been a few times I've put things aside and said, I'm going to go back into the workforce and see if I can learn a little more for my own business. And then I come back and have come back to Tree of India and incorporated what I've learned. And so we, Tree of India and I, have been through some different phases of growth and, change. I've had 3 different retail stores. And my conclusion at this point in the game is that retail is not the way to go, that things have changed. My experience, and I'm 50 years old. So, I came from a retail background, and that's just not the way that the world is going these days.
Right.
And that was a little bit of a tough pill to swallow. But I'm here and I'm learning, and I'm growing, and my business. I closed I had just opened a retail store literally the day that the president declared a national emergency was the very day of my grand opening of my third retail store. Same day.
Yeah,
And
I remember seeing it on social media, and I
oh, it
remember.
was rough. It was
Yeah, I was
so
praying.
tough.
I was praying for you.
Oh, it was terrible. I put in like a huge dollar investment into this retail operation.
Had a
And
beautiful sign too. I loved your sign.
oh my God, the sign was ordered way before it was actually produced. So by the time the sign was ready to install, we already knew the outcome, and it was just a treacherous, like kind of sad day. But we went ahead and put it up there, and it was kind of a sad thing. But you live and you learn, or que sera sera is probably a better way of saying that. It took me a little while to realize that none of that was my fault as a business decision maker, because I felt really vulnerable, like I had made some terrible mistake and didn't know this was going to happen to the world. And how could I? None of us knew. So honestly, I kind of felt like I lost my ass on that deal. It was a little bit rough, but in the end, things are going well. I've converted to a strictly online business. I trademarked some of my product names, which it turns out there's a very large corporation who wants one of my trademarks.
Oh, look at that! Hey,
yeah, it's really, really pretty freaking awesome. So, just a word to anyone in business: if you're thinking about ideas, trademark your names, because I trademarked a name, and there's a company, I'm working out the details of it now, but it seems that company is going to be purchasing my trademark, which will get me completely back out of the debt that I got into from COVID.
Nice.
So things are good. Things are going well. I'm online. I'm learning. I'm growing, and my business has more than doubled in the last 6 months. Online only.
So just to point that out, is that's not, you didn't think you'd be making money that way when that happened, like that when you trademarked it, you weren't thinking that you would sell that to another corporation. So just being in business and doing the right processes has led to new opportunities for you to make money. Am I correct?
Exactly. I never thought I would sell the trademark. I just had this intuition at the time that I thought of the name for this product. I thought, wow, this kind of brings all of these aspects of my business together and defines my brand. And so I should protect that. And, I do have a carry-on plan once I sell the trademark, to transition to a different name for that particular product. So I'm not too bent out of shape about it. But yeah,
nice.
When you were talking earlier this evening about how important it is to register with an EIN, I really resonated with that, because I remember the day that I opened my business bank account. I got an EIN and applied for it and received my number. And the very next thing, of course, that I did was go to a bank and open a business bank account. And I will never forget that day, because that person behind the desk, and I've told every person who's ever talked to me about being in business, I've told them this story. The person behind the desk looked at me and said, "You have opened a channel to receive." And indeed, it was. As soon as I opened that bank account, there was a channel for me to receive through my business, and it worked. And he told me that most people who take this step thank us thank the universe, whomever they're thanking, because when you open that EIN and that first bank account under the business name, you've opened a channel to receive. And I truly believe that's the case. It truly is.
Oh, absolutely. It just reminds me the day that I opened mine, I still have the business card from the business manager at my bank, and her name was Angel, and not Angela. Her name is Angel, and like that's her first name. And I'll like, we were laughing about that, because my last name is Evangelisti. Some of you guys don't know that, but I go by Angel. It's just too long to put on a woman's pair of jeans when I was designing clothes, so I dropped it down to Angel. They both have the same meaning. So yeah, I wholeheartedly, like I had no, I had some qualms about getting into the government industry. When I was starting a business, I was like, do I have to go that route? It means I have to pay taxes, but then I couldn't hire, like I can't hire anybody if I would have to pay somebody under the table if I hadn't done that. There's been more benefit going the right route and aligning and not being operating out of the state of fear, doubt, and worry. And just getting an EIN and filing with the federal government. Every spiritual book says, try to be in tune with the laws of the land or the community that you live in. It's part of a good spiritual balance. I'm not saying that I agree with everything that our government does or et cetera, or how business laws work. They're not always perfect, but until you get to the highest levels, like the majority of which, you don't have to worry about any of that. Like none of that stuff applies to us. I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm just saying we're operating in a different space and at a different frequency and a different vibration. If you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and taking care of what you're taking care of, like the only times I deal with the government or when I'm paying them the taxes that I collected for them, and that's it. That's the only time that I deal with it in a business sense because of what I do. Like I don't deal with toxic waste. I don't deal with chemicals, tobacco, firearms, pornography, any of that stuff. It's not my business. So I don't really have run-ins with them. And I know this is different than what you were talking about, Jessica. I just wanted to point it out to some of the people that are on there. Because I know some people, a lot of times when I have people are incorporating, do I need an EIN? Isn't that just a social security number? Isn't this how I get in debt to the government and all, I hear those fears. I just wanted to address them getting an EIN is basically so you can hire people. That's the main reason for having an EIN. So if you plan on expanding your business or having anybody else work for you, you have to have an EIN. Also, if you want to get tax incentives, you also have to have an EIN.
Yeah. And trust me, I hesitate to say too much on a social media platform, but I am not I don't always completely trust in the government and the way things are being run in this country.
Right.
Because I think it is mostly money motivated, and I think that there's so much more to life than that. But when it comes to getting your message out there, when it comes to being a legitimate business, you kind of have to play by the rules to a certain extent. You can't go under the radar the whole way and expect to reach a whole lot of people.
Absolutely. So listen, if you're doing it right, listen, there are plenty of activists that are out there working their magic, and they are still in the business corporation side. And to be in business, I just want to drop something. I just want to drop one little thing. In the Bible, in the very beginning of the Bible, in Genesis, there's a guy named Melchizedek. And he's an ancestor of Christ, like he's Christ's great grandfather or something, and his grandfather of Abraham and David, etc. But he was one of the first, like he was the priest of the highest order, and he asked all the other priests for 10%. And I laugh about this because this might have been the first pyramid scheme, is in the very beginning of the Bible, but it's also the first business. It's also the very first spiritual based business. And that's why I bring it up this is since the beginning of time, before we were using coin, before there was the mercantile system, spiritual business, being and for them, that was just a way of tithing, but that's who they kicked it up to him, is they paid it up to him. And in that process, they all got to operate under his umbrella or his apron. And that's why I bring it up. It's just, the point is that spiritual businesses have been around for a long time. And so entwined, where it gets that we have this thought that we can't operate because we want to give away free. Like, I really just wanted to give everything away for free when I first started out. Like, I was like, why do I want to charge somebody? I'll just make my own money doing what I do and let that be enough. One of the first things I saw is when you don't charge people don't find value, and and it's psychological. That's not always the truth. Like, I can listen to somebody and recognize that I can see the value in it, whether or not they're charging me money for it. But that was one of the first reasons that I said, oh. And then the other thing is when you're offering somebody something of value, there's a energy when somebody gives you something and you're giving them something that creates more. It creates abundance. And so we want to be in that process of, give me something, I'll give you something, in an exchange where the energy exchange creates more. It just does. And anybody who's been playing with this stuff for any length of period of time knows, it's like, if somebody wants to give me something, I feel like I want to, even if I'm just giving them a hug, like, I want to give something in return, or if it's a blessing or something. It doesn't always have to be monetized. I want to ask you a question, Jessica. Are you on Clubhouse yet?
No.
Okay. So do you have an iPhone?
I do.
You are the perfect caller. So I just want to make sure all it takes is that I know we're already connected in contacts, but you got to make sure that your contact information in your iPhone is correct. And like in your own contact, make sure that it's correct, and in your iTunes that your contact information is correct before I send you the invite. And then I will just, I don't have a choice. It goes to the telephone number that you have that we're connected through, and I'll send it to you. And I highly recommend, Jessica, that you get on Clubhouse and get in your club where there are people who are doing the exact same thing you are, or it also marketing spiritual stuff. And when I say spiritual stuff, I mean accoutrements, singing bowls, aromatherapy stuff, crystal bowls, brass bowls, yoga equipment, yoga blocks, not just yoga mats. There are other people in this business, and they're sharing what it is that they're doing, and some of which is piggybacking. A lot of people, they're giving the stuff away for free. And I don't mean stuff. They're giving away their networking. They're giving away their platforms to allow people to come on and share their information and who they are with. And it's these are the movers and shakers of just about every industry on this app right now. So I'm glad you called in. Thanks for sharing your time with me. Thank you for sharing Tree of India with us. Thank you for sharing your story with us. I'm going to get you on Clubhouse. And I want to, I'm going to reach out to you too. So in that process, cause I want to see how I can help you with any of your processes, just where you're just selling online, and see if there's anything we can do to increase your sales and grow your email list as well. So, if you find value in that, and if, maybe we can take some time anytime this week, I've got some time set aside this week for a few calls. So if this week's good for you, hopefully we can sit down and just take a quick time, a brief call, in the future.
That would be fantastic. Thank you.
Absolutely. So, just when I get off the show, I'll send you the invite, to Clubhouse. And so, if any of you other guys, I'm going to let you go. Jessica, thank you very much for calling in.
No problem. Thank you so much.
All right now. Ciao. So Jessica was like the perfect caller because she's already in business. And I followed Jessica's business for a couple of years now. And yeah, like she started a brick and mortar store and lost her butt on it. Like she said, it opened up and had to close down the same time COVID hit. Like really, like as soon as the country declared the national emergency for COVID, that was the day she was launching her business. And she had a beautiful store, beautiful location. She's in North Carolina, in Asheville, one of the most beautiful towns in the country. Like she was poised to make it and was doing everything. And then all of a sudden a lot of us, that happened for a lot of us. Like COVID was supposed to be my big year, or 2020 was supposed to be my big year. Then COVID happened. And so like I had to shift, like all of this is a shift to COVID, otherwise you'd be coming to sit into my big picture cafe, which would have been called Awake and Wear Cafe. It's an Awake and Wear studio where you would have kind of was going to open in Philadelphia. And we just had to pivot. And luckily there was enough time for me to pivot away from that. And, wasn't a bunch of money lost. So, I really, really appreciate, let's see. Holly says, yes, we are here and we're still learning. Isn't that a beauty of it all? Open a channel to receive. Thank you, Jessica. Let me just go ahead and put that up for a second so people can see that. I know that, remember now, this is now available in podcast form. Got a bunch of downloads. We're almost to, I think we have 500 plus people on the Awake and Wear page. I think we're like 550 before I looked in. The Awake and Wear community page is growing. There's over 300, I think almost 350 people. Thank you for growing the community. Thank you for being a part of Awake and Aware. So if you guys can share Awake and Aware with your community or anybody that you might think has value, one of the things that I invite you guys to do is share your processes, share your business. Like, this is not about me. This is not just about Awake and Aware. This is about you, your products, your business, your processes, and growing that. We're a community. I want to help you guys grow. I want to help grow this community. I feel like it was aligned. I prayed to God and asked for this. And so, I'm just a steward. Like, I'm no better than anybody else in this community. I just happen to be putting a foot forward every day in this community. And I want to help it grow. So if you know somebody that has value from Awake and Aware, or feels like that, like they're conscious, they might have something to share, go ahead and share it with them. I implore you to do that. And also continue to feel free. I see you guys sharing in the Awake and Aware community. I love that. Grow the community. Like, it's sad that at this time and age, because you used to be able to just listen. I could have just put people into the Awake and Aware community. It doesn't work that anymore. They changed the community, the group guidelines on Facebook. You used to be able to just add people. Like, I just add 100,000 people and all of a sudden the group's got 100,000 people in it. You can't do that anymore. You've got to grow it organically. So that's what we're doing. That's why there's only 330 people in it, but it's 330 quality people. But invite anybody that you think has value to it, and we'll see them in Awake and Aware. It's the perfect time to end the show. It is 11:11. So I'm going to wish you guys, I hope you guys found value in this, and I'm going to wish you guys abundance, prosperity, wealth in the new year, health, serendipity, right? Joy and happiness. It's been a pleasure tonight, and I'm just going to roll our, I don't do closing credits. They're the same as the intro credits, but I want you guys to know where you can find us in all our social sites. I'm up. That's simple. You should see that we're on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, or actually not on YouTube yet. So I got to implore you guys to reach out to YouTube and hit the subscribe button. Once we get to 100 subscribers, we can change the YouTube name, which is this really long link. We can change it down to Awake and Aware Inc., like all the other links are. I would greatly appreciate that. That would help us tremendously. So if you get a chance, you can just search Awake and Aware and Nick Angel on YouTube, and you should find us, no problem. And then just hit subscribe. The link is also in the show files below. You can just click that, and I would really, really appreciate that. That would be a great help to us. All right, guys, have a wonderful night. Look forward. Next week I have Angela Fears coming on. She's the owner of Angel Star Health, a spa and yoga studio in I believe Sedona, Arizona. And she is an amazing yoga teacher who teaches yoga teachers, and she's been in business for years, and she will have great value for you guys next week on the 10th, Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Have a wonderful night, and thanks for joining us, and I thank you very much.